Alrighty, folks, welcome to week 9 of the ESL. I'm wowarlok. I'm joined tonight by Andre, who's currently holding on the back end and has a bit of a sore throat, so you might not be hearing a lot from him. And joining me in commentary tonight, I have Cobra Bubbles for our first match. Cobra, want to say hi?
Hi, hello. Thanks for having me back. Glad to be here for the final week of the ESL. Very exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely banger week. We see this. You can see the standing on your screen. We have Toran currently leading the league with 33 points, so 2 wins ahead of everybody else. But Toran is also the only player who has played all 8 of their games, so you will not be seeing him playing tonight. Right below him, we have OF 1515, Jai, and Augustus, who are hoping to get those 2 wins that they need to catch up to first place and hopefully have a better tiebreaker score to win. As you can see, OF has the best tiebreaker score of the 3, with Jai and Augustus having a little bit less. So depending on who wins their matchup, Toran might even be able to squeeze out a victory, even if one of all of them end up winning all their matches. And right below, we have Silent Arbiter, Larrea, Ysengrin, HaverOfFun, and Wren still fighting off. Some of them kind of trying to play spoiler maybe, but all of them trying to reach the best score they can so they can get the better pricing up on the higher places in the standings.
Yeah, very exciting standings here. It's always nice when a league event like this does actually come down to the final week. It will take quite a lot for somebody to overtake Toran here, but it's definitely within the bounds of possibility. So yeah, excited to see how these matches play out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think without further ado, let's get into it. You'll see. We'll start, I think, with Silent Arbiter playing against Ysengrin.
Fantastic. So this is, I believe, the sort of asset-heavy HB deck. It's got what's now the agenda from Terminal Directive. It's SFT, but it's not shipment from Tenin. It's
successful field test.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah, and also efficiency committee, and just trying to spam out a ton of assets, create a ton of value, score to 7, as I understand it.
Yeah, on the other side, we have Jeff playing fairly regular Hayley. Spycam is the kind of engine piece, using Tech Trader and DJ Fenris for Geist to get all the draws and credits up with all those trash can abilities, and using Hayley to spam the board with a lot of these.
Yeah, we see a Bazaar in Jeff's hand. Not a card you see very often, or ever saw in Standard particularly often, although yeah, folks who like to brew silly stuff, as I did at that time, would probably be familiar. But yeah, and I assume the deck's also on a Replicator, the kind of direct combo with Bazaar. There it is. Look at that, I'm a genius. Which lets you just draw and install a bunch of copies of the same piece of hardware between those 2 cards at the same time.
Amazing find also on Jeff's side of that Astrolabe early on. That was going to pay off dividends against this asset spam list, where every time the corp makes a new remote, the runner is going to draw 1 card. So I'm expecting the Hayley player here to draw most of their decks through that Astrolabe over the course of the game.
Yeah, it's already a Diesel stapled to an Akamatsu mem chip, and it's only getting better from here.
Yeah.
Interesting to see 4 servers, and none of them have done anything apart from that spin doctor we saw. So yeah, probably question in Jeff's mind here about what's sitting in server 1, sat through a whole turn cycle, not done anything yet. And presumably we're taking it there's no wage workers yet on the table, it would have been installed. But speaking of installing cards, Jeff's just activated that Bazaar replicated combo to get all of his copies of Spy Camera on the table from his deck. Really neat little interaction that. And then when he gets his DJ Geist and his Tech Traders going, those Spy Cameras are going to pay him off for that quite handsomely.
Yeah, very good value for a single click. Also amazing in making sure the corp doesn't sneak an agenda out of the top of R&D. Could be a way to find more points. Although with all these assets, I'm expecting the ETF to kind of find maybe some instant speed draw if necessary. You see a deep dive, so that's probably what the win condition for the Hayley deck is down the line.
And here we go. We see DJ and Tech Trader come down in just one click, courtesy of Hayley. And now we're popping these spy cameras, drawing cards, making credits, seeing top card of R&D. It's a nice little package, and it only gets better as we see more traders. Hyperdriver under a street peddler, that's always a nice little card to be able to surprise out. Okay, and now we start to see some of what this board from Silent is prepared to do. We have a Lakshmi and a Warm Reception, two cards from years and years apart in the release of the game that synergize really, really well together. Lakshmi picking up those counters as you res things, Warm Reception letting you play the fun little game of Resi D-Resi that we're familiar with from working prototype decks in Standard. And then Lakshmi turns those counters into making your agendas unstealable. It's a nice little combination.
Yeah, going to be tough against Deep Dive when you have to kind of guess which agenda the runner is going to find on the dive. But on the other hand, I think the runner currently doesn't have that many credits, even though Jeff has access to a bunch of pressable cards. So contesting the board is not going to be an easy feat for him right now.
Yeah, definitely the possibility that server 4 or 5 or even server 1 here is an agenda just sat waiting to be scored between this Lakshmi and this Wage Workers and really push Silent forward, potentially a successful field test or an efficiency committee, as we discussed, or even luminal transubstantiation, the recently banned Standard agenda that is also seeing play in these hyper-efficient Eternal HB decks.
Really important find for Ysengrin here is that Film Critic that's going to go through the Lakshmi effect and will make sure that the runner can steal the agendas, even if Silent is holding on to a copy in hand and has enough power counters. So that's definitely something that Jeff will put on the board sooner or later, probably using the Hayley trigger sometimes in the future. And it might be enough to foil Silent's plan here.
Yeah, that's really nice. If Silent gets a bit too bold and does start installing naked agendas thinking they're safe through Lakshmi, then this critic is going to have a thing or two to say about it. And here it comes right away. Jeff making a call here. But finds a Hollow Man. He can't trash, so that's not quite paying off.
Jeff ends up discarding a few cards that are probably not very impactful in the matchups between the second copy of Replicator and the quite expensive point-wise Employee Strike. That's not going to be not going to stop the ETF from doing much this game. Stell Moon hitting the board, and Silent here probably trying to install as many cards as possible, and with that Friends Night places is going to put the Stell on 3 counters, so that's 6 credits and 3 cards drawn in the future. Quite the powerhouse, and I'm expecting Jeff to probably run it either click 1 or very soon to stop the value from there, and there you go, exactly as I expected.
Yeah. And Jeff's going to be reaching for his zoom out button pretty soon as well, I would imagine. There's a lot of assets building up, and he doesn't really have the economy on board to contest very many of them. So we're going to have to be playing a bit of a game of reads and guesses to try and find those agendas with this film critic.
Here, Jeff has an interesting choice. He could install a second copy of Sports Hopper rather, through Hayley or Bazaar, and has a lot of installs coming down with a single click. That's the power of Bazaar and Hayley and all these draws that Astrolabe and Geist have been getting him.
And we find that second Tech Trader, so that's going to make all these installs just turn into a heck of a lot of value. Get that all-nighter as well. +1 card, +1 credit, +1 click. Nice little way to spend your card you got for free off of Street Peddler.
Yeah, and now the engine slowly builds up.
Yeah, credit's still the issue here for Jeff. He's burned through quite a few of those spy cameras when they were only giving him 1 credit each. Now his trashes are giving him 2 credits each, but he's kind of behind here in terms of the tempo of the game, it seems like, and he's going to need to build up those credits pretty quick to catch back up.
On the other hand, I think Film Critic is slowing down the Corpse plan. Silent will definitely need a piece of ice or 2 to make sure that the agendas are not stolen, since they're not particularly safe on the board. And with that levy coming down soon, I think Jeff will refill his deck with value, and then fire those sprite comes again, trying to get as much money as possible, and probably firing off a couple of deep dives here and there to find the points that he needs to win.
Yeah, just 5 cards left in the stack already. So with more servers being installed, or pop one of these sports hoppers, and that stack is going to be straight into the grip, nice and easy. Get that third tech trader down, and then yeah, we're off to Levittown. There's the zoom out.
Definitely something that needs to happen when you're playing this wide of a deck. For those who remember, I think we've seen Silent scrolling through the remotes earlier in the season instead of zooming out. I asked him why, and it turns out he doesn't know how to zoom out on the browser he's using for the ESL. So he has a second account, and he logged into a different browser for that. He doesn't know what buttons does that. So he's been scrolling through all these ETF games over left and right to click on these cards.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
I really thought we just found a new school of JNet operation that was, never before seen. But it's necessity, the mother of invention, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
We're seeing multiple assembly lines popped here to just really make sure that Jeff gets to draw his whole stack here.
I was about to
We've
say,
installed 5 cards this turn already, and we still have got a click left.
and that click is going to put 2 more cards on the board. Estelle Moon casually hitting 6. I think she'll go much higher in a second. Yeah, all the way to 7. So drawing a third of R&D and making $14. Amazing value for a single install and a single res.
The triple assembly lines are going off here. There was, in some ways, the Mumbad meta was an awful time for the game. Famously, a lot of players decided to stop playing at that time due to the proliferation of kind of prison-y asset decks. But some of the assets from that cycle are just so much fun. I love Lakshmi, Jeeves, AAL, all really exciting designs at the time. And before Moons turned up and supercharged them, when they were slightly fairer, that was a deck I had real good fun with back in 2016 or so.
Yeah, it looks like a fun play pattern to play. Something that requires an extra large play mat as well.
Jeff going for the second Bazaar. That's interesting.
Yeah. It makes sense if you don't want to draw it again once you fire off that levy. Although Jeff is fighting here to find the 5 credits he needs to play that levy as well as contest the board a little bit. He has a lot of clicks, so there's a good chance he'll find it. But he is forced to check a few of these servers here and there to make sure that Silent doesn't sneak out an agenda.
Yeah, worth noting that the levy isn't going to get back those hyperdrivers. Those have all been removed. So looks like from what we've seen of the deck, the remaining ways to gain clicks are just those all-mighters, which are going to have to be carefully managed if he's going to have enough clicks to keep contesting things and also land a deep dive at some point.
Yeah, also another thing that's probably going through Jeff's mind is that he has not put down a single program yet, and he might want to get down a icebreaker before you fire off your first levy, so that you have at least a way to force a deep dive soon, instead of having to wait to go through the whole deck. And the clone chip is probably going to be used for that as well.
Exactly, yeah. Meanwhile, on the corp side, we've not seen any agendas yet, and we're down 2/3 of the way through R&D, a little more than that even. 13 credit counters on your Lakshmi, which in theory would be enough to protect you through the full score of 7 if it wasn't for that film critic foiling plans. Oh yeah, and Silent mentioning in the chat there that there's got a difficult turn here. We're seeing the biotic labour, so we're going to presumably see a big score here. Between Jeeves and Wage Workers and Biotic, we're making a ton of clicks. Then we're going to be installing a ton of cards as well between team sponsorship and what I can only assume is going to be this field test here.
Either that or a efficiency committee is what I've seen from these decks, which could turn into 3 or 4 more clicks rather with Wage Worker. So in either way, I think Silent is installing most of his end right about in like a few seconds.
Yeah, and that's the kind of really interesting curve of decks like this when, the HB assets that you have access to in the full eternal card pool, as we've seen, you just have almost an exponential increase in the amount of clicks, credits, cards, and installs you can make as your board grows. The problem is, if you go too far on that, you're just going to run out of your whole deck. And so you have to get the leverage that into actual scoring opportunities and make those scores before you kind of rush yourself through the whole game. It's quite an interesting curve to manage and can be quite difficult against key pieces of tech like this critic we see here.
Critically, I think the whole setup that Jeff is running costs way more influence than costs enough influence that he cannot afford a copy of Clot. And so Silent's probably trying to play through that fast advancing agendas from hand. That's a successful field test being installed, and I think we'll see most of HQ being dumped on the board, as well as a couple of installs from archives to create more service, either more service than Jeff can check in the next turn, or try and build an actual scoring remote.
Yeah, field test an agenda from Terminal Directive that people may not be familiar with. It's was after all I believe the product with the shortest lifetime in Standard, it's just a straightforward 4/2. When you score it, you can install any number of cards from HQ. Presumably, you play this in a normal game, perhaps of the Terminal Directive campaign. You install 2 or 3 cards, maybe. That's pretty good, but it's not quite the levels of what we're seeing here after that big Estelle pop. Very big hand with which to just dump on the table. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards installed and counting. The question, as I say, is can we turn this into something that actually wins the game? It seems like the plan here from Silent is to use that 3-iced server to just push the next 2 agendas, presumably in quick succession.
Yeah, that sounds like a tough position for Jeff to play from. The massive value that a single SFT generates is incredible, especially when you're starting your hand with 10 to 11 cards. So Silent's on 14 cards in R&D right now. A single deep dive would see most of that. But you have to imagine that there's an agenda in server 23, and one will soon follow the turn after if Silent can muster the clicks to score. And between Jeeves and Wage Worker, that's not going to be a tall order.
Right. The other question is, where are the other agendas? Right. We've got one in server 23, almost certainly, but only one scored between either player, and only 14 cards in R&D. So there's a lot of agendas still floating around here. It's just a question of whether, if he can make up enough money to push for this deep dive instead of trying to contest the remote, which presumably is going to have the score happen over the next couple of turns. Just by making those centrals runs to get your deep dive and then firing the dive, could easily find the 7 points here if they're not all on the table already.
Jeff assembling a few more clicks on the board using that all-nighter. That gives him a click, 3 credits, and a card draw. So once again, quite the powerhouse. Both players honestly assembled an amazing engine that would win games on its own, but the question is going to be who's faster here, if the Corp can score out through that big remote, or if the runner can find the clicks to deep dive a couple of times and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Even the best engines in Netrunner rarely, literally win the game on their own, right? They create a lot of value which you can use to win the game, but most of the time, especially on the runner side, you still have to make the right runs. You still have to play that basic game of hide and seek that we're familiar with. Even what you and I might humbly call the most powerful runner engine ever created. We never found a way to turn it into just a straightforward win. You still had to make your runs and find the agendas after you had your infinite credits.
Yeah. Although I think Jeff solved kind of his problem in terms of credits by living and then pulling out as many crushables as he can. He's lacking a few breakers here and there, but he still has a couple of clicks to maybe check the board, and definitely enough to set up for a deep dive next turn.
Yeah, interesting choice to go for these uniced remotes here. It looks like we've decided against it, actually. Oh, no, we are going for the iced
Oh,
remote.
never
Okay,
mind.
just
Yeah, right.
it's click easily done when there are 27 servers in play.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what's under the street peddler, but I'm assuming Jeff might. Like, there's a chance Jeff has access to his lamp as well, which would help him through this massive remote.
Yeah, I think I actually might have seen a whiff on there. There was at least 2 events. I noticed a diesel and a strike. And so it might be a full whiff on the street peddler, which would be spectacularly unlikely, but not impossible.
All these red
seeing
that
a
you're
bunch of
seeing,
cards raised. Uh-oh.
yeah, kind of tell me that we're about to see a tour
Tour
guide,
guide, yeah.
against which lamp would be amazing.
Yeah, and Jeff saying as much in the chat, but yeah, it doesn't seem to have access to it at this moment. And yeah, Angolas would cost approximately, what, 12, 13 credits to break this tour guide right now?
Something like that, yes.
Viable.
It's 11 assets, so it would be exactly 13 credits to do
Oh,
it.
but we're going for it. Jeff making the paint here, and he's just going to crack a bunch of these spy cameras, see this same copy of Biotic Labour on the sub R&D over and over again, and spend all the way through this tour guide and just pray that it isn't another one behind, because that would be
that would be terrible.
Would potentially be lights out.
Also, a single buyer would stop Jeff dead in his tracks, which
True.
would probably be quite bad. Although outside of maybe Ablative Bear, I don't see. I can't remember any very appealing buyer on the HP.
Oof, it's the second tour guide. The second tour
Ouch.
guide. That's gonna, yeah, asking for. I see you paid my friend an 11 credit tip there. What, you got anything left for me? Jeff does not. Bounces off and has to discard a full 9 cards here.
Worst part is that while Lem gets through one of those tour guides quite easily, the second one is never going to be a buyer again unless Jeff pulls off some kind of amazing skateboard trick by using clone chip to reset the Lem in some way. So that's going to be a tough one for Jeff to crack, and I think he'll have to resort to running centrals, which is something that I don't think he'll be able to do right about, the next turn.
No, I mean, he's got 6 or 9 credits sat on the table in the form of trashables. But Engard is expensive to use, and if Silent's able to res multiple ice on R&D, for example, I think a deep dive is going to be a bit tricky here.
Also, something worth noting is that between all the assets that Silent resed, one of them was Malia that blanked the film critic. So now the Lakshmi is back into the threatening to save agendas mode.
Yeah, good catch. I missed that. So yeah, we might finally see some of these 27 Lakshmi counters spent. Oh yeah, we've got a Hollow Man here. This looks like it's going to be another explosive turn. Is it explosive enough to score 5 points? That's the question.
With only 5 credits, that might not be possible, although between ETF and the Advanced Assembly lines getting brought back with team sponsorship, Silent might be able to find enough credits to score out 5 points.
Yeah, you have moons as well, giving you 2 credits per install, so that might do enough. And you get this free install of this warm reception here, which is just 2 credits up front via moons.
Although that turns off our Hollow Man, so that might be counterproductive.
Interesting.
I mean, Silent doesn't need many clicks here. Wage Worker and Jeeves will make it so he can score a 5-3 even if he didn't have the Hollow Man. But getting the remaining 2 points it's not gonna be easy, I don't think.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to run through the click math in my head at the moment, but it's pretty hard to track all the possible ways this could go, especially with that seeing HQ and Silent is having to do that puzzle as we watch here. Definitely a tricky one.
Yeah, it's one of those times where the corp asks for a minute or two as they're doing math. Yeah, and Silent just writing down a thinking or the equivalent of at least.
Yeah, a bit of onomatopoeia.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
Yes,
word I was looking for.
definitely a time for Jeff to go and refill his drink if he's getting thirsty.
That's when Axel would pull out the Subway Surfer on the screen to make sure that no viewer get bored.
That's right. That's right. We'll do a quick round of Gordian Blade.
Yeah, exactly. But if
Big
you're
thing
Jeff
here.
and you
Yeah,
expect maybe you see a turn or two, what's your plan here?
oof, I mean, it has to be try and land deep dive next turn, right? I'd say this gets us to 5 points, but not 7. On the corp side, then only 11 cards in R&D, presumably some more agendas in HQ. You've got a shot at getting to 7 with your deep dive, unless there are Vacherons in this deck. I'm not sure of what the 5/3 of choice is. Oh, it's a global food. It looks like. Okay, that does make it a little trickier. We've managed to fast master's food, but no clicks left at this stage. So even though we're going to get a lot of value off this score from sponsorships and moons, don't know that we're going to be able to run through to 7 here. Jeff is presumably going to get another turn.
It looks like it, yeah. With 0 clicks, I don't think Silent can find more this turn. And he has to make sure he doesn't mill out, yeah, and he pops the moons right away.
Okay, that does decrease the value of the deep dive. Unfortunately
Yeah.
for Jeff, only 5 cards to look at, so what's much worse. Don't think I saw any HQ pressure in the deck on the first pass through. So it's going to be a question of trying to take singles here. Oh, we're firing a value levy here.
Although I don't think any steal from HQ should ever happen in this situation.
Oh, true, because yeah, you're right, with the Lakshmi still in play.
Yeah. You might be able to break the ice protecting Malia once and maybe put one on Film Critic, but that would probably be it.
Well, Jeff can spin his wheels a little at least. He's got cards and credits out the wazoo with his various strashables. But he doesn't have his time. And you'd be hard pressed to assume that the game isn't over next turn from this board state, so yeah, hard to see a way out for the runner here. Although we do get to enjoy the replicated bizarre roller coaster a second time in a game.
Yeah, it is quite tough. I mean, Silent scoring a four advancement agenda isn't that easy, but Silent has access to at least one biotic labor through the clone suffrage movement. I would be shocked if there isn't at least one line between all the cards he has in hand to get an agenda in the score area from hand right away.
Yeah, and I mean, one possibility here is we've made a bunch of credits now, go take down this Jeeves and wage workers, and then assuming there isn't more copies of them face down, which unfortunately is definitely possible, it's potentially going to turn off the ability to score a 4/2 here. Or does Biotic just do it with Hollow Man? I guess it does.
Yeah, unfortunately, Biotic by Solomon looks like it's enough to score a 4/2.
So we don't have clicks to get to the suffrage movements as well as the wage workers and the Jeeves. Jeff does seem to be digging for something, so maybe he's thought of something that we haven't in the last few cards of his deck here that might help him out. Has found that land again, but probably too late on that one. Again, it's not going to get through double tool guide.
Yeah, unfortunately, also no way to get that card on the board click free between Hayley and everything. It has to be in the heap. so that the clone chip can find it. And we're rushing to the Lakshmi, and there's a second copy of Lakshmi.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can trash this and go to HQ, try and get lucky, but unless there are multiple generators in HQ, then you can't steal one. And if there are multiple generators in HQ, then stealing one doesn't help because there will still be more left for Silent to score.
Yeah, so the only hope for Jeff here is that Silent only has one agenda in here, and we manage to snipe
and
it.
it's a global food, right? Because it's steal, yeah. So it doesn't even proc the Lakshmi, so that's clear signal from Silent that there are plenty of generators in HQ to close out this game. But we have to get to Jeff's discard step first.
Lots of cards here. Interesting that Jeff's playing 2 clone chips. We've only 2 programs to install. Well, I guess 2 plus the 3 hyperdrivers. And still, quite an expensive install. I mean, at least like it bogs down 1 card, and yeah, we see the fast advance.
I don't think it was just Liminal just off the table. I think Silver 26 there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, just sat there. And we can only begin to imagine the turn that Silent would have after that score with those Luminal clicks plus everything else, if that game was carrying on. But fortunately for Jeff, in some ways, it's a mercy given and the game was ended.
On the other side, we have Whizzard playing against Ob. We've seen Jeff Ob being the more regular kill Ob that we've seen here and there. Something that hasn't won a lot of games in the league, but definitely a matchup that's quite scary if you're not prepared. And I think all the players knowing that this could be a possibility came in very well prepared. And in fact, I think Silent is quite prepared as he's playing this more regular Whizzard that plays Clump Vengeance, Rumor Mill, and Zero to power the Vengeance up and kind of try to slow down the advance of the Ob as well as turn off its abilities so that the combo doesn't go off.
Yeah, exactly right. It is. It's the ID you're least happy to see across the table when you're playing the kill Ob deck, I think. You just there's dreams and nightmares of Rumor Mill in Jeff's future.
Yeah,
but we'll see. It's not impossible for Ob to pull this out.
Yeah, as a heads up, people, these games were played before the most recent point update. Obviously, the new point list did not kick in before this player locked all their decks out. So you will see still Silent playing a deck that currently would have 9 points worth of agendas, or eternal points rather, as well as Jeff, I think, would be on 8 and out since Ob went up 1 point. So enjoy the spectacle, but don't worry about having to play against these decks exactly, because they will not be legal right after the game, basically.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about these decks. You just have to worry about whatever other nonsense the Eternal Sickos have cooked up since the points list have dropped. I've not been keeping up with myself, but I'm looking forward to it. After Elevation comes out, getting back into Eternal.
Awesome. See a keep from the Corp side, and looks like a keep from the Runner's side as well. Looks like a pretty good hand. Clump Vengeance to start. The prize to get some more cards out, and ideally that moshing to filter through some of these threshable effects.
Yeah, it's a classic moshing hand. Some good cards plus some cards you don't really care about, and a moshing to throw them away too. It's never that bad. Yeah.
And on the other side, Ob using the CVS to find Moon right away, and usually, popping sooner so that the runner doesn't get the chance to rumor mill them. The usual song and dance, honestly, of Ob into Anarch in Eternal.
Yeah, and going for the Ice Wall here, which is interesting, rather than another asset. So we're looking to defend against Whizzard trashing all your stuff rather than try and overwhelm with multiple trashables. Marky Mark going down to the Master Gamer.
When we see Silent hitting both the medium and Zero, as well as 2 breakers. So Silent will probably have access to most of his breakers by the end of the turn, if not all of them, in the heap. And here the question is whether you want to find the Zero, you want to install the Zero to use Clump Vengeance right away, or get down the medium to run R&D. Instead, Silent chooses the Paperclip to probably challenge Server 3.
Yeah, it looks like it. And we're just pivoting off of this first clan vengeance. We're going to find some more copies later, I guess. We do find a 0 and a Rozeki, so nice early cards here, but we're going to prioritize checking this server. Finding the Jeeves, yeah. So, just burning all your credits in the early game, but that's what Whizzard lets you do. You'll be back up with 3 ready to go for more assets next turn.
Yeah, that's an expensive trash, but something important that Jeeves is part of the kill combo, and Jeff would be threatening lethal actually between the Jeeves, the Ice Wall, and the cards he has in hand. And now here comes the second copy of Still Moon. Silent installed so many in game one that we see Jeff kind of retaliating by installing another right away and trying to draw through his deck to get to the combo.
Yeah, there's a reason our friend Estelle is among the most pointed cards on the corp side. Very powerful. And nice little opening for Jeff to have the back-to-back Estelles and no Rumor Mill as yet in sight. So this time we're just leaving the Estelle. We're going to let that run that risk, knowing that there wasn't one last turn. And try and cook this a little longer, get a bit more value, which the Cybernetics is going to help us get with an extra install thanks to Orb.
We'll see what Ysengrin finds here. There's probably a good chance that a piece of ice comes down. Yeah, there you go. The third guy hits the board.
Yeah, I don't think we have the MK Ultra yet. Just
I think it was in the starting hand, so it's probably in the heap right now.
It was the starting hand. Yeah, must have got moshed. So never mind. We do have all 3 breakers, but we need the money to use them if we're going to be breaking the server multiple times. And Rozeki is here to try and help us get there.
Yeah, there's like an interesting choice for Silent in the matchup at least. It feels like the Orb matchup can go pretty quickly, so it might not pay off the way you want to. On the other hand, the longer the game goes, the more the runner is favored, I think, in the matchup. And I think Silent, knowing that he will need credits later down the line, install the Rozeki, hoping that it powers up the whole economic engine that he needs here.
We see Jeff go for the moons after his discard here, just doing a little JNet workaround to get that to work. It's legal to do, of course, but sometimes all these different timing windows with Orb can be a bit fiddly on the client. We set up another mark in the server, so that can become a Rashida or a Spin Doctor, potentially.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Silent finding the second copy of Jeeves, something that Ysengrin definitely would have loved to keep on the board. And this CVS could actually pull up, the third copy of Jeeves, so threatening an actual kill combo next turn if all of these cards stay on the board. And Silent only has 1 click.
Yeah, we fetch Rashida here. We go to +2 for Mark, +3 for Rashida. We go to 10, which is enough to, with Jeeves already rezzed, fire the combo for 3 trashes, right? And
yeah, 3 is enough to deal 6 damage.
Enough to kill 6 damage. So yeah, this if Jeff gets good fortune on his Rashida draws here, which again he's done manually to work around the restrictions of JNet, we could have a quick kill here.
Yeah, and we see Jeff thinking, either looking through the card he just drew or finding a new line. Yeah, installing that piece of ice in front of Jeeves kind of tells us that the combo isn't in hand, which is unfortunate at this point, going through half his deck. But still setting up the board in a way that makes it harder for Silent to contest. And without any clan vengeance on the board, this is going to be quite the challenge to stay alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it was a shame for Silent that bank card couldn't have come down the previous turn. It would have made contesting these remotes a lot easier. As it is, we're going to be reliant on credits to do it, which is a bit of a pinch point at this stage of the game. There are those vengeances. Maybe a little too late.
Especially with 0 already being clicked. There's no way to charge them right now. So Silent running through the servers, hoping to demolish as many cards as possible. If you get Ob down to less than 3 res cards, you you survive the turn with at least 2 cards in hand. But Jeeves staying up here kind of tells us that if Jeff finds the combo in the next few cards, he still has it.
So let's see what the ice is. It's the Enigma. That is one of the more expensive things it could have been, honestly. It's going to cost us 6 here to get through. And with our Whizzard credits already spent, that would mean we can't trust the Jeeves. So that Enigma's just going to end the turn. We find another Rashida, so here we go. Playing the combo lottery again. Jeff just needs to draw whichever of the 2 combo pieces he hadn't drawn already. And, oh no, more installs.
It doesn't look like we have it.
Still don't have it. Rough. This is, interestingly, one of the implications of a previous points change, right? This deck used to be able to play Gaslight, which if we'd fetched it off of the mark a couple of turns ago, would have made the combo much more likely in some ways.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
No longer able, yeah. Which, definitely a hit to the power level of this powerful combo deck.
Yeah, Gaslight, well, on the point list exactly for this kind of deck, used to be some of the influence of the deck right now out of the point budget for the deck, so definitely something that Ob cannot play anymore.
So yeah, we've got this damage engine running now. 2 vengeances, 0 fires hits the Ivadverse. Start to see the kind of explosive plays that this Wizard could make. Oh, and finds an STS just on the table. Interesting. Just there to waste the runner's time, and I guess be another installable, but yeah, kind of doing its job here.
Mm-hmm. Taking down the paperclip, something that comes back later on, probably come back if Silent has to challenge any buyer in the future. But a way to slow down economically the runner, especially in a position where you're very few cards away from winning the game. You just need to buy yourself as many clicks or cards drawn to get to your combo pieces.
Yeah, the third Rashida fire makes us again pretty likely to have this, but now we have a couple of Clan Vengeance counters on the board, so presumably the optimal play for the runner here. Oh, and a Spin Doctor draw, going for 2 more. But presumably the optimal play would be to let the mutually shared destruction fire and then try and snipe the high profile out. Never mind.
Although that
still don't have
that
it.
that would probably incur into Amalia blanking one of the 2 Clan Vengeances, so you have to consider your options, but definitely the best choices here is letting the Mad fire.
Yeah, fair point. Looks like Jeff's just drawn a bunch of agendas instead of combo pieces here, so we're going to shuffle some of them away with this Drudge. Make up the bank. Now we've got probably enough credits for the rest of the game, to be honest. Covers the combo, covers resing a couple more pieces of ice.
Mm-hmm. And the bankers on the board also generating a little bit of drip economy. I don't think Silent is going to challenge it. It doesn't look pressed for that. But the worst part for Jeff here is that the Clan Vengeances are going up, and Silent finally found the first copy of Rumor Mill, which is going to blank the Jeeves and make the combo much harder to resolve.
Yeah, we see there's no one home here as well, potentially a relevant piece of tech, putting a kind of extra credit tax on landing those tags from mutually shared destruction.
Between all the cards drawn, yeah, I would expect Jeff to be holding on to 1 or more currents right now.
Right, but every time he has to play a current, that's 1 more turn he can't combo unless he's got a biotic or something in the deck. So yeah, gonna be potentially looking to dig for more ways to recur this Rumor Mill here as we're Silent, or just more copies.
Yeah, Silent bought himself a few turns. I mean, between Jeff not finding the combo and now the setup to kind of disrupt the corp is online, and it looks harder and harder for Jeff to win. If the Clan Vengeance hit 3, the chances of actually keeping the combo piece after the Mad go down quite hard. And I wonder if Jeff at that point should just fire a Mad without having the HPT in hand, and just kind of flood the runner with tags in the hope of being able to find the killed piece later down the line.
Yeah, potentially. We've got to start thinking about the more desperation outs here. For Corp, as we see a kind of classic eternal battle of assembling our powerful pieces, our tech cards, and our enablers on opposite sides of the board. We've had a few turns of relatively little interaction via running, and a lot of kind of flying past each other. But now we're getting involved as Whizzard getting that Jeeves down, and with 5 counters now on these clan edges. There we go. One of them popped immediately to clear HQ.
Yeah, Jeff seeing the writing on the wall here. His combo kind of getting dismantled. Probably one or more of whatever the operation he found earlier on has hit the archives, and the Spin Doctor is going to hopefully find and put more combo pieces in R&D. But I think all 3 of the Jeeves are also in archives, so this is going to be a really tough situation to assemble enough combo piece to kill here. Unfortunately, the deck did not provide whatever piece it was missing to win.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I think probably Jeff's best line now is to just fire off a mad as soon as he draws it. Ideally, he draws it off of just a mandatory draw next turn. And then he can then silence pretty unlikely to want to fire Clan Vengeance on just 1 card. And we can flood the run with tags and try and finish them off later down the line. But we see Malia come out off the final Drudge Work hit to blank that 5 counter Clan Vengeance. So that's something, potentially a little bit of respite here to draw back up for the combo again.
Yeah. Although, unfortunately for Jeff, he needs at least 6 to 7 res cards to make sure that Silent cannot just clear enough tags and kind of hope to survive the HPT. And the board doesn't look like it's providing that. And if Silent doesn't run all of these centrals to get Jeff to res these eyes, I don't think we'll get there soon enough.
Yeah, it does seem like potentially quite a lot of agendas went back into R&D between that Drudge Work and the Spin Doctor shuffling 2 face-down cards, rather than the Jeeves that you might assume would be priority targets. So, yeah, with R&D open, there's a medium in the heap, we know, at least one. Potential for Silent to go digging if Jeff gives a let-up at any point. Here we go, maybe. Thinking about it. Playing it safe, going for the Ribbon Bill instead.
The classical fight between a combo kill deck that's trying to win the game as fast as possible and the disruptive control side of the runner, where if you miss your window to kill, and I think Jeff had a couple of turns where that was possible, the game turns to terrible odds on the Corp side here, and it's down to the runner to kind of close out the game clean. And I mean, Silent can still take a few missteps here and there, and maybe Jeff wins the game. But I think the odds for the Whizzard player are much higher right now, even though the credit disparity doesn't show that those credits don't necessarily will not necessarily lead Ysengrin to the win.
Yeah, we see a nice clean fire on the Clan Vengeance there last turn. Jeff drew up to 5, and thanks to Rumour Mill blanking Malia, which was previously blanking Clan Vengeance, get to wipe the hand, and then that prevents Jeff from presenting any real threats this turn, which means we get to go and check archives and find 6 points to win the game.
Yeah, well played. Tough draw, honestly,
yeah.
for Jeff here. Quite a fight on both sides. I think he had a couple of openings where he could have won the game had he drawn the correct card. But honestly, well played on both sides, and really clean gameplay of Eternal decks here.
Yeah, quite unlucky for Jeff. He really put himself in the best possible spot there to win in what is, as we said, really quite a tough matchup for his deck. Just didn't not quite rewarded with the draws, unfortunately. So bit of a shame there, but nice clean sweep there for Silent.
Yep. I think you're off soon, right? If I'm not mistaken. So.
That's right. Yeah, I've got some important business to attend to planning preview season. Very exciting. So I'm going to hop off for a bit and let yourself and other folks carry forward the last week of the ESL. But I'll be watching on in the background. So enjoy.
Absolutely. Awesome.
And,
Thank you again
look
for
forward to
being
the final
here.
games. Yeah, my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you. And I don't know if anyone from the stream team is queued to come out. Oops, sorry, I muted myself, but I'll ping somebody else. But in the meantime, folks, I think I can. There you go. So joining us in what is match 2, we have anarchomushroom. Badr, you want to say hi to the people watching?
Hello, good evening.
Sorry, I muted myself, but I'll ping somebody else. But in the meantime, folks, I think I can. Oh boy, I hear your voice kind of dying on you. In what is match 2, we have anarchomushroom.
I got.
Anyway, as we set up our match 2, we have HaverOfFun playing against Larrea. We have our Apex player. You can see the Matryoshka, oh my god, the band card in standard. Jesus, I can't find the name. DreamNet, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And all the drip economy on one side, and the other side, I think Larrea is still piloting the 7-point CI that kind of goes to score the Vanity Project and then a 3-pointers with Big Deal. If you want to get into the game.
Yeah, let's do it.
So when it comes to starting hand, I don't think Apex could ask for a better start. I don't think this one doesn't draw as much, and maybe you would like to see a chop bot. But other than that, I think Alex has access to a lot of drip economy, and as long as Larrea doesn't close off all the centrals, that DreamNet is gonna amount to quite some value for the runner player.
Yeah, absolutely. I think once this DreamNet gets going, and once HaverOfFun is able to get a couple of triggers off of it, I think they'll be able to make up for the lack of card draw. But getting access to all this drip and finding a Vashron early, that's an amazing rip to get off a DreamNet run. And getting it on turn 1 as well is so important in these kinds of games.
Yeah, that's a very important find. Vashron usually worth close to 0 points later in the game, but if you find it turn 1, it's unlikely that the CIA will manage to win the game in 4 turns, so that will probably turn out to be actual 3 points. Quite the find.
But yeah, other than that, like once Larrea is able to get all these centrals iced, this is not a CI that really builds a remote. So Alex is going to need to find some kind of ice-breaking pressure. They have the Maskarovka. That's a different card. Matryoshka. They have the Matryoshka in hand, but obviously one isn't good enough on its own. You're going to need multiple. And I can't remember what other icebreakers HaverOfFun has access to.
I don't think we've seen any other ice-breaking tool in the previous 2 games that Apex played.
Yeah, so currently HaverOfFun has no way of getting through ice. Thankfully, they're still going to be able to farm archives for the DreamNet triggers, which is going to be really, really important. It's basically just taking for a credit and a card. But, once a turn Proco is still quite strong. But yeah, I think Alex is going to really need to find a chop bot at some point, or some other way of just getting up to speed a little bit. Because yeah, especially in a fast matchup like this, where 8 versus CI can just go from 0 points to 7 points in 1 or 2 turns. Yeah, I think HaverOfFun needs to find some kind of tempo and some kind of acceleration into the game for sure.
Yeah, especially with the Reaver in hand. That one goes hand in hand with that chop bot and the Apex ability, making sure you get the one free face down install that you get from Apex into a couple of draws. And then ideally power your deck through so you can find all the copies of Matryoshka and kind of challenge the central servers.
I do kind of like the I know this deck has played things like Helion and Alpha Beta Test. Helion Beta Test and Alpha Beta Test to kind of deal with tech pieces. So it's very fun to see Dummy Box, which is a surprising piece of counter tech. But Larrea not icing up archives, preferring to ice up centrals. Happy to let Alex just keep getting these DreamNet triggers, and keep sort of getting that value now. They've been able to trigger DreamNet every turn now, and we'll get to do it again. So, coupled with the crowdfunding, and a second crowdfunding as well, which they'll be able to install this turn as well. So it's Alex kind of just happy and fairly content to just keep getting as much value as they can from from these runs and these dream nets. And Larrea is still just looking to find all the tools for her combo.
Yeah, Larrea looks like she's calling the fact that she probably will lose on centrals, and doesn't expect the value that the Apexes generates to be enough to find the agendas. So protecting R&D, making sure running through that R&D is expensive as possible is her number one priority, instead of slowing down the engine. Although that ended up putting 2 crowdfundings on the board.
For sure. Larrea is setting up a remote here. I'm not. This could be something like a Jackson, perhaps, or a Spin Doctor that she just wants to protect. Maybe she just doesn't want to. There's nothing in archives yet that she wants to shuffle back, and she'd rather just keep it protected. But Alex does have the second copy of Matryoshka, Matryoshka. So now they're going to be able to start actually breaking through ice. But the problem is, as we're seeing, the ice that is played in this CI deck is quite beefy and quite actually hard to break. 6 credits to get through with Matryoshka is not an insignificant number.
That's just a crazy, it's just a bait that Larrea set up to make sure that Alex ran something. Interesting choice, not installing the ice on archives, but instead trying to waste as much time as possible. Larrea knows that on the long run, she only has to make enough money to score those 2 agendas, and as long as Alex wastes most of his credits and clicks on getting through these ice and check inconsequential cards, she might actually come out ahead in the trade.
Yeah, we're seeing Alex just continue to build the engine. I think obviously last week we saw Alex get the big upset win over Skorpios, was able to beat Jai playing Skorpios, which is a matchup that I think just kind of naturally I wouldn't say favored, but it definitely played into Alex being able to play a slower game plan and have this kind of engine setup. Skorp obviously not being a very fast deck. This CI deck, it isn't as fast as something like the CI7 or the maybe the brain rewiring combo decks, which can be very explosive. This deck just kind of sits around, builds money, and draws cards until it goes off. But once it has all the combo pieces, it does win in about 2 turns. So maybe it's not quite as explosively quick. But now we're reaching a point where Larrea can't just start fast advancing cards from hand.
Yeah, I'm a little worried on if I were to be on the Alex side here that we're not accessing enough cards to actually find the points. And it looks like Larrea is pushing her first agenda out, Biotic out, and then a big deal probably to score the Vanity Project. Miracle Clot, ask Larrea.
And yeah, so there's the first 4 points scored. Yeah. Now, one thing that is to Alex's advantage is that they're going to drip for 4 credits this turn and an extra 2 cards. With the DreamNet trigger, that puts them up to an extra 5 cards, or an extra 5 credits and 3 cards. So they're definitely going to have gas now to maybe start contesting some of these centrals. And this is a great pull here, Employee Strike. This is going to be able to force the countercurrent, which at this point is pretty likely, but being able to force the countercurrent, and if Larrea doesn't have access to it, I know that she's kind of gone through a lot of her big burst draw, I think, at this point. This is a this is a good window, I think, for Alex to maybe start applying some pressure and forcing some of this money spend.
Countercurrent also forces Larrea to slow down and not being able to score. So it's definitely something that you want to play. A single click that forces 1 click from the corp, but slows them down maybe enough that you can find a couple of accesses and find the last point. Like Alex is on game point as well. He only needs to find that one vanity project somewhere between HQ and R&D to win the game.
Yes, absolutely. And with R&D getting quite thin as well, like this is the issue that CI has, where you draw through some of your deck. HQ becomes kind of naturally defended, but R&D does get quite thin towards the end. So any agendas in there are going to start becoming more and more likely if you haven't already drawn them. The one issue with that, though, is that the agenda suite, the agenda density in this deck is quite strange. It's I think it's something like 6 agendas in a 49 card deck, which is typically not possible. It's 3 vanity projects, and then I think 3 Vacherons, presumably anyway. But there's the counter current to do away with the employee strike. So yeah, even just finding 4 agendas, one of the 4 remaining agendas is going to be quite difficult, I think.
Yeah, it is quite brutal when it comes to agenda density. Definitely not what you want to see on the other side, especially knowing that Alex put a turning wheel face down earlier in the match, and that one is, I think, the multi-axis of choice for this Apex deck, and takes a while to charge. So by putting it face down, I think Alex is waiting for the second copy, but that might take a while, and the game might not last long enough for that to happen.
I think it's also a case of where I think Alex has just kind of accepted that with a Fairchild on HQ and 2 pieces of ice, probably similar kind of big mid-range kind of ice on R&D, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to get in enough with turning wheel counters. Now, it's still probably worth playing anyway. But yeah, I can definitely see the logic that maybe it's just worth just putting it down as a face down.
It makes sense.
Excuse me.
Blue level clearance. Card
Classic.
that I have not seen in a while, but when you're playing as many clearances as you can to get the all the CI value and get all the way to around 40 to 50 credits a game, it's something that you might end up playing in your list, and Larrea decided that it was worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this deck does just want to play as many clearances as possible. This is an install advance, so this could be the big deal for the win. I have to assume it is. Even with no paid abilities on Alex's side, Larrea very courteous opponent offering for the Miracle Clot paid ability window. But yeah, there was the big deal for the Vacheron. Yeah, just very tough, I think, for Alex to kind of make meaningful pressure in that game. Apex is a slower deck that wants to kind of set up and build this engine, and I just don't think you have the time or the space to do that versus this very like strong scoring CI list.
Yeah. Apex usually a deck that wants to build up to a powerful engine, then use that found value to put the corp down, but a combo deck as fast as CI, and also as with such a small agenda density is definitely a tough situation, tough deck to play against.
For sure.
Although on our game 2 we have Whizzard playing against Blue Sun. We've seen Blue Sun a little bit in the previous 2 weeks. It's all about big eyes, bouncing them back, rezzing them for free, and then getting the money back from those rezzes to kind of empower your game plan, and then move your eyes around, switch your board to slow the runner, and ideally score agendas behind these massive pieces of ice.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because this Whizzard deck, we've seen it a lot. It's probably the most instantly recognizable instantly recognizable Eternal Runner. And it is very much a list that has been kind of teched and around a specific meta of a lot of asset kind of combo style decks. Blue Sun is a lot slower, has a lot of ice that's actually quite difficult to break with bin breakers. You have things like Curtain Wall and Orion and Wormhole, which very, very hard to break when your breakers have very inefficient boost break ratios. So I think Alex is able to kind of engineer situations where Alex is able to get these very, very large ice pieces of ice res that are hard for Whizzard to deal with.
Righty, let's jump in then.
Let's do it.
In terms of standing, I think Larrea was chasing Silent Arbiter to kind of get as close as possible to the top of the standing, but we've seen Silent Arbiter win his last 2 games, so he's probably fighting to stay a little bit ahead of the pack, hoping that some of the top contenders slow down, kind of drop, and with her new 6 points, if she wins this one, she could get bounced up a couple of spots.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you have to take into consideration tiebreakers as well from that sort of the other 27 bracket, just in case to see what happens between, say, Augustus and Jai. So yeah, a lot of table permutations going on throughout every match this week, and we see straight away there's one of those big pieces of ice getting rezzed at curtain wall. Basically, no way Larrea is going to be able to deal with this turn 1. Unless there's some kind of a stim hack or something, but no, just going for the setup, knowing that this is going to be a slower game, get the 0, get the blue moose going to get as much value as possible. Interesting to not play the rumor mill to try and blank a potential Rashida or a Jackson.
It looks like HaverOfFun does not care about the rumor mill, and actually would have probably cleared it if Larrea had and ended up playing it, but he installs and reses a copy of Archer on HQ, protecting that central server from any future run. Also, and once again, interesting choice. I think Alex did the same last week. We ended up finding the Archer. Blue Sun has access to a bunch of very expensive ice, and you might be able to bounce back. Although it's undeniable that the power of Archer, especially when you're breaking it with MK Ultra, is quite strong.
Yes, it is 12 credits to save you any viewers at home. The maths on that one, it is 12 credits to break, and oftentimes you're basically breaking it for. Sometimes you can break it for 9, but yeah, it's not great to not great to try and break an Archer with MK Ultra. And yeah, we're just seeing Larrea continue to build up a little bit of money. Hitting the steel skin, which is great, obviously. Finding Katorga for another rumor mill. I don't know how hard rumor mill hits Alex's Blue Sun list, but yeah, as we know from points list updates and from the last 2 months of the league, it really is just such a versatile card that there's usually something gets hit in each Eternal deck.
Yeah, I don't think Alex is playing a lot of unique cards, but it's definitely going to hit Jackson or Spin Doctor for once, and that's a way to slow down the corp, especially a corp that's setting up all these big eyes that they might be able to score behind. Is only sitting on 1 card in HQ, so probably wants to draw the agenda to push them out in a good agenda window here, and slowing that is definitely something that Larrea wants to do.
Absolutely.
Setting up a Clump Vengeance, something that if Alex ends up drawing too much, might bite him later down the line. Currently, there's a very good reason to pop it right away, and but it's a threat that's looming there and might be coming to fruition in the future.
And this is another eminent domain, so not great for Alex in terms of getting to 7 points. It does make your scoring a little bit clunky, but you do kind of at that point look at it as kind of a 3 or 4 click operation that just installs something for you. And getting this Archer rezzed on R&D, that's huge. This is going to shut down those double mediums, and it clears that rumor mill for Alex. So this is, yeah, very, very nice start. These Clan Vengeances, though, we're going to see them tick up, and they're going to be crucial, I think, for Larrea getting into this game and dealing with the archers that are on the board and getting around them rather than trying to break through them.
Yeah, if there's a way that Larrea accesses cards in HQ without breaking bank, it is through a Clan Vengeance pop. And it's going to be an interesting fight on the rumor mill to kind of stop the Jackson from shuffling those agenda back. We might see a runner turn Clan Vengeance pop, which is something, although quite possible, not as common as using it on the corp turn right after the corp draws. Larrea asking the question on whether Alex wants to pop the Jackson.
Yeah, this yeah.
Looks like there's
Larrea
nothing scary in archives.
really giving Alex a lot of opportunity to sort of say wink wink nudge nudge there. But yeah, we're going to see a Katorga breakout come out. Probably, I don't think you're going to get the Rumor Mill like you normally would. I think you do get maybe like a Clan Vengeance here. I think it's probably your best card in the matchup. I see Larrea also hovering over the Bankar. I think the Bankar is also a really, really good hit as well.
Yeah, Bankar makes a lot of sense. Good way to get through the archer at least once a turn. So if the ice behind the archer R&D is not as threatening, she might be able to sneak through that one a couple of times, taking damage, and then ideally accessing a lot of cards through the medium's ability.
Yeah, for sure. I can't remember if we've seen Larrea this phase running Levy or Ashen Epilogue in this wizard. I feel like we have. But looking at some of the influence spends, she may not be. Desperado, there's a lot of sort of 1-inf tech pieces, or 2-inf in the case of the source. So I think Larrea may have sort of made the call that she won't be facing any slower decks, like say Mati, or in this case here, Blue Sun, and opted to go for more combo tech and combo hate pieces.
Yeah, she might have decided that the Rezekis are enough of a late game insurance that she doesn't need more. Although this kind of wizard usually loves to play as many Rumor Mill as it can. I can see how shuffling the whole Eep into the stack and then drawing it again could turn out into even more copies of Rumor Mill hitting the board. Right now, Larrea charging through the archer with Banker, and with 15 credits, she's probably good to break one of these ice on R&D.
Yeah, hitting the 2 strike funds there really, really clutch. Because now there's very little dangerous ice that can get rezzed. Here's the Orion coming through. But yeah, it dealt very, very handily with Paperclip. A sentence that, or something that a lot of Netrunner players of a certain experience are familiar with. And there's that levy. So managing to find the influence for that levy. So I think that's going to be really, really important. We are getting to 7th cards in the stack, but being able to refresh and recharge the Bankar use is going to be really, really clutch for getting this getting maximum medium value here.
Yeah, Bankar kind of on his last leg here, but with Levy coming down, Larrea will probably be able to run through a couple of these eyes a few more times, and we see Alex protecting R&D even more, making sure that Larrea has to actually break that archer, but in doing that, kind of going down to 11 credits, which is a little, like, not that much, although Blue Sun can easily bounce back the Orion if needs be, and then repositioning it somewhere else.
Larrea looking to fire off the levy now. Might want to wait maybe, or maybe get this Rezeki down, but yeah, just opting to just go for it now. There's no real pressure at the minute there's no real pressure at the minute to try and push anything. Alex doesn't have a ton of money, does a lot of value on board, and does have a Jackson sticking away, but no real threat as such that Larrea needs to deal with right now.
Yeah, also very important for Larrea is that once you use the levy, all those bin breakers kind of get shuffled in the stack.
Yes.
But she managed to draw both MK Ultra and Black Orchestra, so she's in a position where she doesn't need to find those breakers she's not in a rush to find them. She already has them in hand, and discarding card it's not a breaker, so she can gain the money from Blue Moose. Also very heads up play.
Alex finding a building blocks, another classic Blue Sun operation. Basically turning into a super hedge fund. But Larrea charging through this remote, maybe pressuring some of the economy. There's no rumor mill in play, so Alex doesn't need to res this ice. If they don't want to, they can just pop this Jackson Howard. Likely getting back just economy pieces. I imagine things like Overstate AI and building blocks. I'm not certain what else is in the heap for Alex.
Yeah, also
Holloman,
like
of course, yes, Holloman.
Holloman makes a lot of sense, and the other thing that I think Larrea is trying to achieve rather with this run, other than pressuring the Jackson, is that she got 3 more triggers on that Clam Vengeance, and
Yes.
now she's confidently charging archives, having gotten rid of the Jackson, and also having managed to charge the CV up 3 times. So there's a good chance she might be able to find an agenda in archives soon if she managed to get in.
Interesting that she chose to play the Strike Fund there instead of playing at the Clan Vengeance. I think it makes sense. Things like Clan Vengeance, you want to install them and get the value from them when you install them. You don't want to kind of have to install and then wait. But opting to play the Strike Fund instead. But yeah, Alex just having to draw up no money really to be able to advance anything on the board, and no cards in hand either. And this Black Orchestra is going to be able to start getting through this Horton for basically nothing. Factoring off the drip that Larrea has access to.
Meanwhile, Larrea is still using the banker to get a few counters on Clam Vengeance here. She doesn't need to use her Black Orchestra to deal with the Hortum. And we'll see if she accesses points. Ooh, 5 of them. Wow.
5 points. Whoa. That's huge for Larrea. Now, big for Alex as well. He's been able to res the Chiashi on server 2. So server 2 is quite hard to deal with. If HaverOfFun's able to bait some runs into the server to try and kind of force Larrea to answer it, that could be a route for them to deal with the large economy lead that Larrea has right now. But with Clan Vengeance just ticking away, all Larrea really needs to do, especially with R&D getting very, very thin, is just sit back, keep charging them up, and firing them off, and ideally burning through the Jacksons as well.
Yeah, tough position for Alex to be in. Those 5 points definitely changing the landscape of the game right now. Going from a bit of a fight to a situation where Alex has to make a couple of plays to chip down at Larrea's economy. She is ripping for 4 credits each turn, so she is not in a bad position, and she might be able to just nuke the HQ here, taking the damage from the banker right away, and then probably popping the CV before accessing.
Mm-hmm.
So she sees all of HQ in one go.
And this could be it. And jeepers, that is decisively game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is just the power of Clan Vengeance that we've seen in Eternal over the last little while. Is just how disruptive it is, and how strong it is into these slower decks that maybe aren't able to push forward on the board as quickly as needs be. And then once you get to that stage, those Clan Vengeances are just able to start charging up really, really quickly and just start taking down cards in HQ. And even if you're able to get those big pieces of ices resed in HQ, it basically gives you a way of getting through and seeing the cards in the server.
Yeah, absolutely well played on both players' sides. Definitely quite tough matchup, especially a little bit of a hard draw on Alex's side on the last one. But great games, great back and forth on both counts.
Absolutely.
I think Baron Wu, there he is jumping in for our latter half of the matchup. And Anarcho, thank you for joining us. Rest your voice for a little bit as Bot takes over.
Yes, we have a sick booth today in more ways than one. So yes, I'm going to bow out. I might jump back on towards the end to for some closing thoughts on the league. But yes, enjoy the rest of your games and enjoy something special that me and wowarlok got up to during the week.
Yeah. Thank you. So yes, as Anarcho was saying, although let me introduce our co-host here, Baram Wu. Hi, say hi to the people who are watching us.
Howdy ho, hopefully you can hear me. My name's Baram Wu. How's everyone doing today?
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping commentary here. And we have a bit of a surprise. I think it's a surprise for Ba as well. Anarcho and I kind of wanted to jump in, get a little bit of action of our own. So we recorded one bonus game that we're going to show here. This game is being played with the new ban list, and we're playing the one of Anarcho's deck here is the Pawn Shop Hayley against a version of CI that you'll be seeing in a second.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is certainly a surprise for me. So looking forward to seeing what's going on here as soon as I can work out how to actually put this on full screen so that I can see what's going on. But go ahead, and I'll work that out in the background somehow.
Unfortunately, folks, the quality isn't great. When we record the game, it didn't come out as awesome and as the other players have been. So weird. This doesn't look as amazing as the other games, but hopefully bear with us. The game is worth it, I promise. Right now we see, the Corp went for a kind of a slow turn of draw and to make a few bucks by clicking for credits, and the runner is playing more aggressive. Setting up rather to using the Hayley trigger to get more of those programs on the board. Ba, are you with us?
I am with you. I am with you. I'm just. I was trying to get my my screen a bit more visible, but I might have to just struggle through this one. Luckily, essentially, I'm currently playing this, not just watching a game, but also playing. What's the thing which Lost Geek put together where you have to kind of work out the cards from.
You're playing Gordian
Blade. Yeah, I'm playing Gordian Blade at the same time as commentating on a stream. So that's going to be fun. I'm assuming that something crazy is going to happen here because you're playing a purple deck, and whenever you're playing a purple deck, there's normally some unlimited amount of credits which seems to pop out of nowhere. So, should I be ready to like hold on to my hats, or are you just like pointing out that the power level is going to be lessened, if you like?
No spoilers on my side. You'll get to see it and enjoy it as if it was a game in the league. Right now, Anarcho setting up a few cards, putting down the New Angel City Hall, something that might not be terribly important in a CI matchup, but it comes down to 3 credits when you sell the whole new hall and the whole city hall to a pawn shop in town. So Anarcho looking to get those 3 credits from Aesop's and slowly setting up what looks like a clock lock between SMC, the Sakon, and then the 2 clone chips in hand, ideally slowing down any scoring pattern from the Corp.
Yeah, that's definitely like where this Hayley wants to be. From looking at what Anarcho has already sort of installed, etc. This looks like a very classic kind of Hayley where you just play super control and kind of you're not trying to win, you're just trying to stop the Corp from winning, and you have a tech piece for everything to do that.
Yeah, and we see Corp right away clearing out the current using the enhanced game protocol rather than what we've seen being more prominent in a few of these CI lists, which is the scarcity of resources. Obviously, adding more points on the ID means that we have to power down on that amazing pointed, although current, and go down to something that's still pretty good, but definitely not as powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, as someone who plays a lot of deep dive Arasana in Eternal, then I would actually much rather see a scarcity of resources get played against me than an ELP, because I can't spend 2 clicks on my runs. Even with the monumental amount of clicks which I'm often able to generate, it's still sort of not something which I want to do just to get value.
Well, Anarcho being forced to spend those 2 clicks right away to check that clone suffrage movement, and after trashing it, that kind of opens up the window for our CI player here to fire off that Helion beta test. So threat 1, I think, very small trace, which is going to be quite expensive to trash 2 cards from there on the side that are not programs.
Wow. So yeah, and this, I think, if anything's come from Eternal Super League this year, it's been the use of Helion blank test.
Yeah.
As tech cards here. I'm gonna laugh if this one just brings it back, and it does. Here being used incredibly efficiently to just wipe out the board state here of anarchomushroom.
Yeah, clearing out the way for a score, I think, as the corp here blows up both clone chips and the sacrificial contracts. So, kind of making sure that the clot cannot stay on the board for too long, and the upgrade on HQ might actually be one of those CVS or Mavirus, as we've seen, to kind of purge that out and ensure the scoring window still.
Yeah, and obviously Helion beta test, that's a trace. It's a pretty weak trace, but if there's any corp in any format which just has enough money to not really care about those small traces, it is currently CI. So even with a slightly reduced power rate, we can still generate an absolute ludicrous ton of credits. Anarcho also not really having the resources here to sort of sell to ASOPs, so we're not really generating much value from that ASOPs engine. The indexing in hand could be pretty pivotal though. That's it's slightly less good now.
As you say, a piece of ice coming down R&D. Corp only on 17 credits, so if the Corp probably needs a few more credits to score out, at least score a few of the agendas. Although we've seen CI play YDL to get massive amounts of credits, and I expect between all the archive memories and the corporate hospitality that one copy of YDL will find its way into HQ sooner or later.
Yeah, and we've also seen archive memories. So even if we play one, that might just end up being multiple ones. Anarcho here running into the issue which you can run into with Hayley, especially Aesop's Hayley, drawing into a lot of unique resources here, which can't be kind of clogging up the hand here. These multiple Aesops, obviously being able to reinstall a Blue Moose last turn was good, but definitely something which doesn't feel great.
Yeah, and we see Anarcho overdrawing, probably looking to discard those and find her way into more actual usable cards. The E-Strike that hit the board earlier got countered by a simple got countered by the whole corpse turn, as we saw a corporate hospitality fetching back the ELP.
Yeah, I mean, corporate hospitality is just another one of those cards which comes out and you think, well, you're going to slot this straight into your CI deck. It makes sense. It draws cards, it makes money, and it even gets you back your best possible card from the bin. Indexing coming down here, so we're sort of hoping that this Ice on R&D is not a Crisium Grid, which is a card that we often see in certain CI decks. Having to use some Hayley tricks to install the Ngolo here, but is an option. Unfortunately, probably not going to have the just about has the money to run back here. So could potentially steal this GFI. It's kind of tricky though.
Yeah, lots of money on the corp side here in the near future, but the GFI, interesting choice for Anarcho here to decide whether to put that on top of R&D or maybe a few cards back. So she might have more clicks and credits to run it back.
Yeah, gotta remember that MIC has that ability, so you can afford to click for exactly 1 credit. But if you don't, then make a run. Oh no, and we can't because the ELP here actually gonna wreck this this game plan because this is a standardly main run. So Anarcho, if she wants to, can stop this score by popping the MIC. There are no clicks left for. Sorry, wowarlok. You can stop the score by popping the MIC, as there are no clicks left for Anarcho to lose.
The good trade-off here is that with the clicks, the additional clicks expense, Anarcho doesn't have to break the lose click subroutine on MIC. So she at least gets to keep a few credits, and the corp would have to put down more eyes and protected to save whatever is on top of R&D, which is not a guarantee. This run also gets to access the upgrade that we haven't seen res, so I don't expect that to be a Chrism grid, which would have stopped the indexing earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably more likely to be something like a CVS, and that is what we see here. That gets trashed. Doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't also one on HQ, but also Anarcho currently no way of pulling a clot, sort of on a paid ability window.
Yeah.
wowarlok just making more money.
Yeah,
that's a big YDL. That was for 15 like net 15, I believe. Seems okay.
That money math checks out to me. That's more than enough money right now to score those 2 agenda using big deal. Although finding the SMC means that Anarcho has a chance to provide a clot lock. Although I can't remember if we've seen the clot hit the heap or if it's in the stack still.
I think it's still in the stack because we saw it. We saw it in the window when Anarcho pulled out the Eka to install the Ngolo. So so it's still in the stack currently. So Anarcho here doesn't actually have enough money. Doesn't have a way of kind of getting clock with only 3 credits. Would need 1 extra credit if she wanted to stop this score. And we're also sort of assuming that that this is probably CVS going on.
Yeah, so you want to keep the clone chip in a way to kind of threaten a longer lasting clot maybe. And we see the Vanity Project getting scored as the runner starts their turn, and I think Anarcho here is thinking, what's my best line to keep a clot on the table so that another GFI doesn't get scored.
Yeah, and this is another thing which has come out of the ESL this time around. Oh, we see our first crowdfunding of the game. Is Vanity Project being scored as a scoring agenda? Like this is not something which has ever been a thing before. I don't believe. Vanity Project was in index for just to lower agenda density so that you had a better kill plan. But this is sort of the first time where we've seen Vanity Project be like, I'm going to score this out and thus only have to not just score as well. I'm going to fast advance this out.
Yeah. Skorpio doing some math. I think it's 18 credits to score out a 5-3 using Big Deal, and you need 3 more to res a CVS. So I think Corp doesn't have enough money. although it looks like we're pushing something at least. Install advance and asking for an action, threaten the big deal to score out. I think Anarcho Hill will be forced to find the clot using the clone chip.
Yeah, it does mean that also Anarcho is going to be low on MU here, so going to have to trash probably this Eka, which is just one more resource that she's kind of lost. So definitely relevant, and obviously, I'm assuming that the minute this clock comes down, whatever this agenda is just going to get recycled with a spin doctor or a Jackson with an overinstall, so that it gets saved.
Yeah, there's a good chance we're baiting the clot here. Corp plays Biotic and advances again. And then plays
very interesting.
Nano Management.
What? Excuse me now? Oh, it's a scoop. I see. Very nice.
That looks like a new card to me.
That looks like a new card, doesn't it? That looks rather like a Biotic Labor, I'm not going to lie. If you're asking me, it looks almost exactly like a Biotic Labor. Although, was Biotic Labor 3 influence? No, it was 4, wasn't it? Yeah.
I believe that's card for card, word for word, number for number, exactly Biotic Labor. So yeah, folks, we have a little bit of a scoop. We wanted to keep it as secret as possible, but welcome to Nano Management. 4 cost operation from HB, 4 influence. That just says gain, click, click. And the flavor text is, I am a very reasonable manager. I do not expect my staff to do anything that I could not do. Bust Tree Boga. So exactly the same effect as you would expect from Bass. And if you wanted to fast advance agendas in standard, and you were sad that Biotic was rotating, well, you have a replacement. But I think it's even more important for Eternal, where you can now play 6 copies of Biotic Labors in your deck.
I mean, that was going to be my next thing. It's like, is there a deck that wants to play 6 copies of Biotic Labor? I'm not 100% sure that there is, like, in purple, but maybe there's a sports deck that will, that might come into its own, just bioticking out every single turn for 4 turns in a row or something. Like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance some people might want to play like 4 copies, like just be able to include an additional one. You don't have to go all the way to 6, but just 1 more copy of Biotic Labor, maybe a second one. So a mix of Biotic Labor and then Nano Management here could make sense in a deck in the future. This opens up a lot of possibilities. I'm excited to see where these leads the new HP decks of the future after Elevation comes out.
Yeah, it's nice that we see this as well now, because with Elevation being evergreen, it's always felt like Biotic Labor has always been there since the start. The kind of interesting thing for Standard is that we're losing all of the free 2s. Well, not all of them, but we're losing most of the free 2s. So are we going to get replacement free 2s? Who knows? Because without the free 2s, Biotic Labor is like a weirdly dead card, especially when you have things like Seamless and Hollow Man like in the format. So it might also be an additional scoop, as in, hey, there's probably some free 2s in Elevation, and I'd now be incredibly surprised to not see at least 1 for HB, and if HB is getting 1, then I guess everyone's getting 1. That would be my guess.
Chance, yeah. That's a safe call. That I think I wouldn't be against making. I also want to point out that because it just ended up being very, very ended up being perfect. The Corp here wins the game on a credit perfect score that would not have been possible without Nano Management, because I was missing exactly 1 credit for going for the big deal line, and the triple Biotic ended up being exactly enough to score it out. So we did not. We wanted to show this card off, and it ended up being even more perfect than we could have expected.
Beautiful. A work of art. A work of art, as expected. Lovely. Shall we watch some more league games?
Let's go. I think our next matchup is one that has effects for the affects the top of the standings, as we have Augustus Caesar playing Jai. So both players are on 27 points. If either of them manages to sweep the other, they could challenge Thorn at 33 points, and it would come down to tiebreakers. For the first game, we have Whizzard playing against this Skorpios list that Jai brought up again.
Yeah, and I've been super interested in watching Jai's like progress with these Skorpios lists. I'm a fan of Perfection itself, and I just find the kind of the way that he's been kind of tweaking things around, like just one of the things that I've enjoyed most about watching the league, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, he brought Skorpios every phase, and I think he has been showing that the Corp can do a lot of things. Every runner seems to be unprepared for having their heap removed. It's part of how the runner plays to kind of recur a lot of cards, and between the years in Netrunner, we've seen a lot of recursion being printed on the runner side. And Skorpios just takes that out the window and says you have to change your game plan and adapt to that.
Absolutely. Here we're seeing a fairly easy trash of a regolith using wizard money. Regolith usually a very big part of Jai's game plan here in terms of making money. Luckily, that early hostile has really helped. We see Power Shutdown, which is a card which Jai isn't so up on, but I thought was like pretty good when we saw it last time. I mean, here Jai could use this to get rid of this Rozeki, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. It will only cost him 2 cards off his stack, and also incredibly relevant as Jai is on friends with friends in high places. And Power Shutdown becomes this kind of slightly weird tutor tool if you're on friends, because you can trash a bunch of stuff into your heap and then use friends to reinstall 2 of those things. And it's kind of like an interesting action which works particularly well with Skorpios, as it says trash a thing, and that's a good thing for Skorp.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of control over what ends up in archives from the top R&D, but between Jackson and being able to ice up all the centrals and make runs tougher and tougher as you remove the breakers, I don't think Jai is too worried. But this is a great snipe on on Augustus side. If it's 2 agendas right back to back on these runs.
Yeah, I mean the other thing though is that if you run archives and you grab yourself a standoff or a 1-pointer at an inopportune time, then obviously that's generally quite good for Jai. Jai has 3 cards in his deck which say if you stole an agenda, you're going to lose a piece of your board forever. So it's got this extra kind of edge in Skorpios, because you're kind of saying like, well, come and see what's in archives, but it might be bad for you if you do. That outside ice we're probably assuming is the Typhonium, which we saw Resden and Jai actually pulling back this turn here. Bankar obviously is pretty huge in terms of getting through a lot of Jai's ice. It is a bit of a double-edged sword against Skorpios, because you're not in very good control of what you're losing, and Jai then has the ability to obviously remove something that you lose, but it's still going to be a very effective tool for at least challenging sort of 1 to 2 pieces of ice servers.
Yeah, it's always tough. I mean, losing cards from hand is not the best situation against Skorpios. You don't know what you're gonna lose, and there's always a chance that you're not gonna see it later on. I'm interested in seeing here if Jai ends up using the Jackson Hour to shuffle back a few cards before Augustus has the chance of shutting it down with Rumor Mill, or if Jai is just digging for something that he hasn't found and doesn't mind discarding a few cards that are not going to get shuffled back soon.
Yeah. I think if anything important goes in the bin, then he probably pops it immediately. So, and I kind of can't imagine that, especially with the amount of time which it took Jai to work out what he's discarding here. But we'll see. Yeah, and we see the immediate pop there.
Waiting for the start of turn trigger just to make sure, force Augustus to point the banker on server 3, and then just shuffles back 3 cards.
Augustus finding a medium here, which it could be pretty scary. It is coming down, and we're going to get our first sort of dig. We're seeing a friend, probably going to get. Well, it kind of depends if there's any ice in R&D yet, in archives yet. But we're going to assume that an ice is going to come down on R&D. This Skorpios deck will be on about 15 ice, I think, something along those lines, maybe a little less.
Sounds about right. And we see Jai instantly blocking the hole, making sure Augustus doesn't get more value out of that medium, and installing 2 cards on and then taking it back. But yeah, installing something in the server 1, so ideally probably pushing something, or at least baiting a banker run that could lead to some Skorpios removal from game.
Yeah, unfortunate, a bit of a tell from Jai there. Augustus now knows that there's at least something in HQ that can be trashed because it was installed. Most likely, I can't remember if Jai's on Hollow Man in this version or not. No, it's on a Marcus Batty, isn't it? So so it's most probably a Marcus Batty, and that gives Augustus quite good call to just sort of maybe run HQ a couple of times. Obviously, being able to use those Whizzard credits. Instead, we're seeing a single advancement and just taking credit here. So Jai, I think, pulling both things back, not wanting to give Augustus too much information here, saying kind of like, I might be putting either of the things back in the remote.
Yeah, it looks like it. And we see, that's an important one. The rumor mill being played. That one shuts off the Marcus Batty.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Jai to have some kind of current to fight it off, or maybe just try and score one of those 2 1s or 2 0s that this Skorpios deck likes to play, to attempt to clear the current and then remove it so it cannot be recurred through a Katorga breakout later on.
But the one really funny thing about playing Skorpios is that very nice. Immediately removing that rumor mill and probably removing it from the game, I would assume. The very funny thing about playing Skorpios, especially into these Anarch decks, is that you look at their draw engines, their inject, moshing, price. They are terrifying cards to play into Skorpios, and so quite often they do not get played. So Augustus will just end up clicking to draw because the other options are just a bit too scary.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a slowdown on this Anarch deck. Anarchs have so many powerful events that push them forward, kind of burning through the stack. But against Skorpios, you can't afford to do that. And this Archer getting res here is probably going to snipe a couple of cards and ideally remove some of the breakers, or even the medium if Jai decides that's the better.
I think Bankar's here, so we're not gonna lose programs, but we are losing the entire hand. And like I said, it's quite hard for Augustus to draw enough. So actually, just this Archer, even with the Bankar, is going to be enough to keep Augustus out of this remote, or at least he can't run it every turn. Like, he has to draw before he can even consider sort of challenging this remote, unless he happens to draw into like exactly 2 I've had worse or steel skins.
And that's before Jai manages to install one piece of ice in front of it and makes it so Augustus actually has to use MK Ultra to break through that, which is about 12 credits.
Yeah. Oh, and here and we're so this is a really important stage here because we have to wait until Augustus is outside of the window. I think we're going to be destroying the Bankar at this stage, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Getting rid of the medium.
I think Jai missed the opportunity of using the Marcus Batty during the encounter so that it would turn into a deal 1 net damage. And probably could have killed Augustus.
Yeah, so that's interesting because normally you do not want to do that for that very reason that it just turns into 1 net damage, and that's why Jai would have been avoiding using it there, I believe, because yes, you normally want to wait and do the thing, but yes, very possibly had the kill here. I guess if you had a single steel skin or I've had worse in hand, then it's not going to do it, so you'll be better off getting the ability. But we'll see if Jai scores out here, or it looks like does. Probably an eminent, and it is.
Eminent probably fetching out another copy of Archer or a Thethonium, the two kind of bigger pieces of ice that Jai is playing, the more expensive ones at least.
Yeah, Tefonium doesn't feel so great against paperclips, so you definitely want this to be an archer. And being as Jai's thinking a lot here, either he's drawn, trashed, or installed all his archers, or he's considering where this actually goes. Do you need a second piece of ice on this remote? I probably don't think so, but so this might be a consideration for. Oh, we're going strong on the there is no chance you're getting into this remote. We're just going to look to wheel stuff into here and hope that R&D doesn't bleed beforehand.
Yeah, and it looks like Augustus probably will need to switch gears and move towards centrals, although he doesn't have many credits to play around with right now, and that Friends and I places could end up bringing back another Marcus Batty, turning the remote into an even worse mess to deal with.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a single we haven't seen a Clan Vengeance yet either, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not wrong, although those are quite hard to charge up and use against Skorpios, but I think Augustus would probably be putting them on the board if he found them, because they are a great way to slow down Skorpios and ideally find some accesses as you pile the cards down in archives.
Yeah, we've got a little cap ice going on the top of that remote, probably just an ice wall, just saying I'm not going to let you Bankar through either of these archers. Interestingly, Augustus not playing this rumor mill. I have a funny suspicion that. Oh no, actually, this is just going to be a maskless Batty, isn't it? So that's fine. Free damage coming down for this Tefonium, which is something, but probably going to hit the I've had worse.
Yeah, there's a good chance two of the other. There's 2 more damage coming in, 1 more, and ended up not hitting it. Okay, interesting. So the HaverOfFun sits in hand, and Jai opted not to remove the last copy of Rumor Mill, so there's a chance that Augustus might be able to recur it later on. Right now, although he is trying to find as many accesses as he can, making money off of the Desperado as he charges through Tithonium.
Yeah, I'm wondering how Jai's planning on scoring out whatever's in the remote. Unless this is another eminent and he has just leaving himself a click to jam something after doing so. I'm not sure what he would advance because I believe everything else is either a 2-1 or a 5-3.
Yeah, he might just be setting up a 5-3 score next turn into another jam. So it looks like it is a 5-3 of some sort. It's probably an SDS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if agenda point wise, Jai might be running a fourth 3-pointer.
I think it's free SDS because Jai's moved on to hostiles, so he's got a lot of 1-pointers going on. There's standoffs, there's hostiles, which both are good for various reasons, but they also give money and the eminence. And then I think there's one above the law, and the rest is all SDSs. Or there's maybe one send a message. I can't quite do the maths in my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know in previous phases there was at least one additional 3-pointers. It probably was either an SSL or a send a message. But
Yeah.
I don't know if the most recent build actually needs that additional point. Right now, we see Augustus charging through R&D again, taking damage, using the Avid Wars to tank some of the damage that the Titanium is dealing with Banker, and then accessing as many cards as possible. And we see the SSL we were talking about.
That's pretty huge, and it's not an SDS, which would have actually been much better for Jai, as Jai would then likely be able to delete a program on both turns. Actually, no, we have already scorped, I think, this turn. So maybe it would just hit the bin.
We'll see if the agenda in the remote is actually an SDS, and Jai can blow up the second copy of Medium. And the money that comes from SSL, I think Jai will try and repurpose into a Friends and I places, so he can defend R&D a little bit better. That single copy of Titanium is not cutting it.
Yeah, Augustus is thinking here, and I think the consideration is whether you clan Vengeance, which I think is the right time to do so. Scorp's already fired, so you're not going to lose that clan Vengeance forever, and there's a Hunter Seeker in hand. So you might as well pop this, check the bin, maybe you just win.
And that's exactly what happens. There's nothing of value in there, but you got rid of both the Friends and I places and the Hunter Seeker. So you probably get to keep some of the cards you have. And sitting on 4 points, Augustus just needs to find one of the 3-pointers to win the game.
Yeah, and you'd say that this medium's looking scary, but I'm mostly sure that this medium is not going to exist next turn. But we'll see what happens. Jai kind of needs a second piece of ice on R&D, but going for the remote. That remote looks like the world's safest remote right now. So, interesting when that happens. I wonder if he's cooking this SDS. I wonder if he's waiting for a paperclip.
That could be the case.
I think this is a heavily cooked SDS, because essentially right now Jai is saying like getting rid of a medium is a thing, but it's not what's necessarily going to win him the game. Getting rid of the paperclips will win him the game. So it might be more the case of Jai kind of going, come on, run and install your paperclip so that I can get rid of it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jai also killed Banker using the Hunter Seeker. So Augustus here is out of ways to get into most of these remotes, especially with only 3 credits. And Jai ended up pushing out the SDS just to make space in the remote for something else. And in the meantime, removing from the game the second copy of Medium.
Yeah. The other reason for not scoring it is, firstly, there's no chance that Augustus is getting in that turn. And maybe without anything to jam kind of instantly following, the score, it was better to just hold on for a little bit longer, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Augustus here with exactly enough money to get through on this R&D run.
That bad pub paying dividends, and we'll see if he finds the card. No, it looks like a copy of Regolith mining license. So something that gets thrashed for free, although Augustus is deciding that it's better for him if Jai draws it and kind of has a dead draw in hand.
Yeah, because Augustus can always go and trash it from hand, and Jai's not really like super poor on money right now, so trashing the money, it's not like you can go back and see another. You might as well just let Jai draw it.
Yeah, that makes
which is
absolute sense.
really, really good heads up play, and kind of shows why Augustus has been tearing it up on the tournament scene this year.
Right, drawing here with this first click and then icing up R&D again, deciding that R&D wasn't safe enough now that Paperclip is on the board. And I know he wants to find an agenda sooner rather than later, since those two archers are definitely protecting the remote quite well. So Jai is in jamming mode right now. Probably wants to put down another 5-3. And we see a second install, which might be another copy of Rashida, maybe a Jackson, and maybe the actual agenda that he found through that drawing click.
Yeah, or it could just be Regolith as a kind of it might just be bait. There's always the option that it's just bait. Whether the Regolith would just be better in hand is an interesting question, but Power Shutdown could get played here, but it's pretty like you're just going to always trash this Rozeki, so it's not going to do too much in this circumstance. Yeah,
Rozeki acting like a lightning rod for that power shutdown. You're never, despite like even if you trash more than 2 cards, the runner will probably usually trash that one and make sure Augustus still has ways to break ice.
I mean, it's quite a nice sort of. The other thing that Power Shutdown is good at is it's a good way of forcing your opponent to install these other programs, because otherwise, like especially with this Jackson in the remote, which turns out that was what was jammed. Like, there's no reason that that Jai wouldn't sort of use that Power Shutdown to trash one of the bin breakers, which is a far more sort of powerful effect. So actually, the sort of smaller programs doing quite a lot of work here, just as fodder, if you like, protective fodder.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of the 2 of the 3 copies of Rumor Mill have been removed rather, and there's one in archives. Or in the heap rather again. I wonder if Jai feels comfortable discarding agendas. Yeah, overdrawing and discarding agendas, knowing that he always will have a window to pop that Jackson. But I think Jai here is desperately trying to find an agenda to install, and it's tough. I mean, the spot here is kind of tough. If you keep the agenda in hand and Augustus checks HQ and finds it, you lose the game. But if you discard all of them, then overdrawing with Jackson did nothing. So having this kind of unprotected HQ puts Jai in a difficult bind, as he has to choose between keeping the winning agenda in hand and probably jamming it next turn, or playing the safer kind of way, but also putting himself in a position where he's not going to win soon.
Yeah, I mean that's it. You're in an interesting position here, where as Skorpios, you need to like exactly top deck a 5-3 agenda, not just draw it, but you need to like kind of top deck it, so that you can just install double advance. Obviously, you can maybe draw once, you can install the agenda, and then you just can score it out over 2 turns. But the longer this game goes, the more value this Whizzard deck is going to get. We see the credit total creeping up. We're dripping each turn for free at the start. Every run is making money. We can trash everything out of HQ that we find. So HQ is kind of incredibly unsafe, and Augustus knows that is where the potential game is right now.
Yeah. We're not yet in a range for Augustus to challenge those 2 archers, but we're getting there quite quickly. 15 is not far. I think Augustus needs 26 credits to deal with both archers, including the having to install the MK Ultra. But that's not too far, and Jai definitely feels the pressure of having to find the agenda quickly so that Augustus isn't sit in a position where he can also threaten the remote and can just chill as Jai finds more and more eyes to put there and ideally outraces him. But
I mean, the other thing is if that outer ice is a border control, then Jai's going to feel a lot more safe. And we know, I think for a fact, that upgrade is a Marcus Batty. So there's also the kind of scariness of the Marcus Batty sort of being there. So I think even with money, the remote might be fairly safe. But we'll kind of see, because if this outer ice isn't a border control, then it's not far off from being crackable as long as you are good at Psy games.
Also, I'm not super up to speed with what the text on Councilman, but I think if Augustus puts down Councilman, he might be able to shut down the Marcus Pate, which requires Augustus to play the resource right the turn where he wants to run. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't work. But that's, I think, the play that Augustus has in mind if he wants to actually challenge the remote. He's not in a situation to do right now, I don't think. So we'll see what he ends up playing.
Okay, Augustus doing some math here. So either looking if he can work out a way of cracking this remote, which could become possible. I'm not totally sure how, because we really want to know what that outer ice is, but there's no Bankar anymore, so you're definitely going to have to break that outer ice. Now, if it's just an ice wall, and from sort of the credit total that Jai was on earlier when he installed that ice, you might assume it's an ice wall from that. There's always the chance that it's a Typhonium, which could be res for free. But if you force a Typhonium res here, then you're also putting Jai back by enough points that he can't win, in one more agenda. So it's a pretty interesting situation to be in.
The other thing I'm thinking about is that these Whizzard lists usually run one off of Faust, and I don't think we've seen it yet. So Augustus might also be calculating the odds of finding it and using that steel skin to kind of feed the Faust and get through one of these archers without having to pay the huge amount of credits that MK Ultra needs.
Yeah, it's a depressingly small amount of cards which you need, I think, to sell to Faust. It's only something like 6, or it might be 8, but I kind of seem to remember it's something like 6 cards that you need to sell to Faust to get through. Maybe it's 8. Like 2, you boost 3 times, and then
break 4.
Boost twice. Is it like 1 card for 2 strength? I can never remember.
Yes, you're right. So it's only boost twice and then break for 4. Maybe even 3 if you don't mind giving the
you can
money.
give 2. That's fine. Yeah, so it's like it's only 5 cards, which really doesn't feel like a lot,
Interesting. On Augustus' side, he installs a second copy of Paperclip to kind of insulate himself from the Marcus Buddy killing one of them, so he gets to run through this server a few times, and ideally with a couple of good accesses, he can win the game before Jai scores the agenda that's in the remote.
Yeah, interesting that he's gone for the double Paperclip over the Councilman there as the option, because surely Councilman would almost do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely an interesting choice. Although maybe you want to consume the Marcus Pate without having to actually trash it. And in doing so, you also force Jai to spend some money on the side game. But the trade-off is there. And you also get to conserve the Councilman for the remote run if you ever want to actually run that.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I mean, it's definitely an interesting kind of line to me. And what's the option here? So Jai here considering the res, which means that it's potentially something like that ballista that we saw on the top of the deck a little while back, which I never had to do the maths of MK Ultra into ballista, but I would assume it's the install plus 6 credits, but it might be worse than that, or it might be less than that even. Let's see if we get a Marcus Batty res here.
Guys, thinking about it, I mean, it wouldn't prevent Augustus from breaking the titanium. So I think Jai is probably better off waiting. Although if you fire it and it kills one of the paper clips, then you have a better chance at removing the second one from the game later on. Jai in a bit of a bind.
I just wonder how you're actually going to remove that other one. I guess the other Marcus Batty is going to be the way, because not Trojan Horse, but the delete a
Hunter
card.
Seeker.
Yeah, Hunter Seeker is mostly offline now, not completely, because there are 1-pointers in here. So I guess it's still that case. You probably want to force Augustus to spend some money first here. Let's see if we see Marcus Batty pop. This could also be. Oh, this is interesting. What happened here? Why did we res the one on? What am I missing?
I don't know.
I think Augustus is just asking exactly the same thing. Was this just a misclick? It must have been a misclick. I trashed it. Why? But why, Jai? It wasn't resed.
Oh, you know what? Jai wants it in archives, so he can friends and I places both of them on R&D later.
Interesting. Wow, that is a play. That is a play. I mean, that that is
that's beyond what I would have thought about, but I think that's the only reason I can think of that it would make sense.
Yeah, Jai saying that this remote then is completely safe. So we're kind of saying, oh, that's interesting. Jai choosing there to trash the blue moose and not one of the paper clips.
Yeah, because he chose the subroutine that also ends the run.
I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if we see this border control popped.
I would assume so. It slows down the runner enough, although I think Augustus might actually have exactly enough credits. Yeah, once again, to get through all of these eyes with the paperclip.
I mean, Jai also saying that this remote now is completely safe, which I think it probably is. It's, again, especially if that is a board control. But Jai now safe. Kind of poor.
Jai doesn't have a lot of money, but I don't think he feels any pressure right now. The remote is definitely far from getting broken by Augustus with only 1 credit. And if the Friends Night Places puts down 2 new Marcus Batty on R&D, that's a lot of side game that Augustus to get through to break it. Sure, I mean, the game gets extended a few more turns.
I'm just thinking that that's money for Jai. Like, unless he's got exactly hedge fund here. So this is how he can afford to do this. Because otherwise, that's 2 credits for the Friends in High Places. You've also got to spend some money potentially on the side games. You still haven't advanced this, what we assume is a 5-3 agenda any further. So you're still not winning next turn. But yeah, this looks like a kind of scary R&D now. And Jai, again, threatening this the win in server 1, probably not next turn. We haven't seen Jai play anything like Audacity in the past. Although a singular one of them might be enough to close out the game here.
I mean, if Jai has an Audacity in hand, I would expect him to have played it last turn, although he might just draw it here. And there's a third copy of Burgess Credit. Jai sitting pretty on 7 credits, probably pushing the agenda a little bit if that's the next 5-3 he needs to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, the hilarious thing is if this turns out to be a standoff all along that Jai's been baiting like the greatest fisherman alive. Because he's currently still fit, and there's not an instant like advancement being put on this. So
yeah,
this turn is not as simple as that. Okay, we do see. Yeah, I mean that's the turn I assumed, but Jai took a long time to think there. So I wonder what's going on.
There's a
What
chance Jai drew an agenda. I think the long pause kind of tells me that, and I think Augustus is reading the same thing.
We're getting that last rumor mill back. Now, this is a rumor mill which Jai had the chance to remove from the game. We do see an Eminent. Okay, now that means that Hunter Seeker is now in play.
Hunter Seeker is in play, and Jai is I guess it's running through R&D with rumor mill blanking both of the Marcus body.
And has the credits to trash them because of Whizzard.
Ooh, and he finds the agenda.
Yes! Oh my gosh! This game potentially coming down to Jai not like choosing not to remove that last rumor mill from the game.
Yeah.
Wowzers!
Councilman would not have saved Augustus in that situation, but instead Augustus finds the line that gets through as Jai did not decide to remove that one. And the last point on top of R&D wins Augustus the game, I think, on probably the last axis of the game. So very well played. Quite a tough game on both sides. Very well played on both sides. This puts Augustus, it puts Jai out of contention for first place, although Augustus still needs to win this one to have a chance to contest Toran at the top of the standing. And we'll see in the second game, we have Jai piloting his Hive Mind Max with 69 cards, playing against, I think, Brain Rewiring CI. That's Augustus brought here in phase 3.
Yeah, I think Augustus quite taken with the brain rewiring like combo CI, which is a scary deck and is much. It's like probably might be the scariest kill deck that there is currently going, because as terrifying as Ob is, and it really got shown to me when Axu killed me turn 2 in our league game last week, when without me having done anything, I drew twice and played a sheer gamble or something. It didn't even make a run. But the fact that it's completely turned off by Rumor Mill, or not completely turned off, but very significantly turned off by Rumor Mill, whereas the CI has the ability to sort of hold more currents in hand, recur more currents, and just do other sort of scoring lines, and it's less kind of hit by the Rumor Mills. It seems to be maybe the better kill line right now.
Yeah, definitely a scary one. Let's see how this game shapes up, and if Gus manages to get there, or if Jai pushes Augustus down and both of them land on 30. We expressly banned 2-for-1s and IDs from the players. We asked them to play all their games. I mean, they're obviously getting recorded, so we wouldn't get a non-game for the last game, as both players knew that a sweep would be the only result for them to actually have a chance to win. So, I mean, Jai still has a chance to get probably the higher spot on Augustus if he wins this one.
Yeah, I mean, we did see a card which could end up being an incredibly big card in this matchup, as Jai has a copy of Nerve Agent in his deck, which is not a card that we see very often, but is essentially medium, but for HQ. And as this is the sort of the Hive Mind Max variation, as it cannot be doubted based on Jai's current hand. Those Nerve Agents can get pretty big in terms of how many cards you're seeing off HQ on each HQ run, which against most corps is a good thing. Against CI is an insanely good thing. If you're seeing like 5-6 cards on every HQ run, then you've got a much better chance of winning.
Yeah, definitely a card that Jai included in the list, especially for the CI matchup. And we see Hivemind getting played right now on turn 1 without any progenitor to kind of preserve that one token. We'll see if this ends up being the correct play or not. Jai probably wants the speed that the one Hivemind provides for the deck right now, so that he matches up with the CI threats.
Probably kind of gutted that he's instantly drawn a progenitor the next turn. So not exactly I mean, it's what you want to see, but it's kind of not what you want to see at this exact point. Season wage workers could consider trashing it. Obviously, this fermenter is currently going to be a lot of money next turn. It's going to be maybe as many as 12 credits next turn. But a single purge is obviously going to set things back. We see a second progenitor. Unfortunately, we can't go double hive mind as the hive mind is indeed a unique card.
Yeah, the deck taunting Jai for his decision. And letting the wage worker go is an interesting one, especially because it is it is a combo piece for the deck, as it needs to assemble a few cards to win the game, and one of them is that one wage worker. We'll see if Jai ends up at least dealing with the rest of the combo pieces, or if the plays instead to just rush R&D and find the agendas, and that medium is exactly what Jai wants to see right now with an open R&D.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming in. You're going to run. You're going to get Knobkery on that Hive Mind. You're already seeing, is it 4 cards? I can never quite remember how the maths works.
It is.
We see a Punitive in hand. That is not a card which I remember being in these lists, but apparently it's there. Jai might need to take this fermenter money, because money is going to be important in that case.
Punitive makes sense in a list that gets so many credits as CI does, and especially one where you want to kind of bait the runner into running one of your veterans and then win the game off of that. So a second win condition for Augustus is quite good.
Yeah, kind of showing that most of the cards which you need in this particular build are very, very purple. You're playing YDLs because they're an absolute nonsense amount of money, but your win combo in this particular one is pretty much exclusively purple cards. So you can afford to splash your influence on other cards such as Punitive.
We also Anarcho pointing in chat that if you score a brain rewiring and then don't have the kill, you can still kill through a punitive line if the runner has stolen enough points. So that's another thing that I wouldn't think of, but it definitely makes sense as a 1-2 punch to kind of get the kill.
Yeah, because I guess there are we've seen is it Larrea, I think, has a copy or two of the zero cost hardware, which
Respirocytes.
Respirocytes, which I think gets round the brain rewiring combo, if I'm not mistaken.
It does.
So like having an additional way of doing some extra damage. We see the chipstat here, which just gets left, doesn't get trashed, which is kind of interesting. But I guess there's can this deck play friends in high places? Is it better for it to be in R&D than for it to be in the bin? I'm actually unsure.
I don't think you have enough points to play friends, and also like friends ends the turn, so you wouldn't be able to combo off through a friends in high places. I don't think.
I wonder if I wonder if I'd be considering parasiting this drafter. I decided to leave it.
It definitely makes sense, although with another fermenter kind of cooking and the hive mind getting pushed up and up with Nobkiri, it might not like you might have enough money to break that. Although Augustus is making this virus suite do a lot of work, as Jai wants to as many virus counters as possible, but the recursion of CVS is not gonna go well for him.
Yeah, I mean this. The tricky thing with Hivemind Max was always like purging felt like the worst thing that you could ever do in the world, because that everything's just coming back almost straight away. Also, this is again this is why you need to have the hive mind on a progenitor, and I wonder whether it's actually worth kind of getting that progenitor down, crashing the one hive mind to get the other hive mind in play on top of the progenitor.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Once I saw the second hive mind and progenitor drawn, I was thinking whether Jai wants to spend the clicks and the money to just get another one. Yeah, it looks like for now we're just pushing in, trying to find points, and we're not getting them. Ooh, never mind.
Well, there's some points, quite a few of them as well. I mean, now, so this is kind of scary. Jai's got a reasonable amount of money, but Vanity like Punitive is particularly scary when you're when you're on Vanity projects, because that can do a lot. Normally you're like, oh, I'm pretty safe if I've got like one steel skin in hand, but I don't know if you are safe if you're like double punitived for 4 points a turn. You're probably not, right? It depends where it hits.
I mean, Hived Wars would save you. That would be exactly 8, and we haven't seen any drawn. Although Max doesn't, Max loves Steelskin a lot more than Hived Wars for obvious reasons, and there might not be Hived Wars in Jai's list. That being said, Jai is also playing 69 cards. A bit for the meme, but also because the Hive Mind engine needs a lot of cards, so there's a good chance there are actually Hived Wars in the list.
This is interesting. So Jai now deciding that either he's safe from the kill, or that he can win with the punitive not being a thing. I mean, we've now stolen 5 points. I guess that doesn't really change the punitive math in any way.
Yeah, and with YDL coming up, I think Augustus has enough money, even if Jai keeps those 3 credits. So I don't think that changes the math particularly. Augustus is probably going to be able to click for a lot of money, and 5 points is not enough for a single punitive to kill, but if Augustus has access to both, or at least 2.
I think we've seen 2. I think we've already maybe we saw the same one twice, actually. It could have been, I know that I've seen punitive twice, but maybe we saw one on a medium dig, and so I might have seen it twice. But my head says that he has 2, but that I never trust that my head is nonsense.
Jai doing the math in the chat for Augustus.
You gotta love a teammate, eh? Like, here's how you win.
And it's mathing out a YDL punitive Archive Punitive for the kill, which would definitely be enough money.
Double biotic in there, which makes like YDL is a bonkers enough econ card, but it makes it worth playing sort of YDL like a second biotic just so that you can play the YDL as well. That's pretty crazy.
So
I mean, I guess the problem is how many biotics have you got in your deck? Not more than 3, not yet.
According to Jai's math, Augustus needs 24 credits before the YDL to win. Although we don't know if Augustus has both biotics and an archived in hand to deal all of those damage. And Augustus
also, Jai there not actually doing it for Augustus, but just doing it for the benefit of the stream. Look at that.
Good guy, Jai.
Yeah, this is I'm glad he's working it out because I can. Augustus thinks he's got it.
And
Jai confirming.
Yeah.
We see an install. Oh. Okay.
Biotic. Okay, just getting the free install, I guess.
Oh, I think he's going for the brain rewiring into the punitive here, so just needs the single punitive. This looks like
so
this is gonna be, or maybe he's just going for a brain rewiring kill. Just doing it the simple way.
Giant mastered out a completely different kill, and then Augustus had the whole combo to win the game, and that's game. So that puts Augustus at 33, so 11 wins, and tied with Torin. We'll see if Augustus's tiebreakers hold up against Torin's, or if Torin gets to run away with tournament without playing the last round. Obviously, everybody had a bye week, but yeah.
So incredibly tight at the top right now, which is kind of wild. Like I don't think we saw that happening. I think interestingly we saw off 15 sort of have such a explosive start that it kind of looked like he was going to run away with the entire thing at one point.
Mm-hmm, totally. So are you sticking for one more match?
Yeah, I can stick around unless there's someone else who wants to jump in, but I'm happy to hang around.
I think we're all out of swaps right now, so let's jump into OF 15 playing against Wren. So OF is piloting this Max, which I think is the Cipher parasite kind of, or crew rather, in the most recent builds, kind of build that wants to deal with the ice and then try to abuse all of the Anarch's tool to slow down the game and win, finding the accesses. And I think Wren is piloting a scoring version of CI, the 2+5 list that we've seen, especially in phase 1, with a few more people piloting it.
Yeah. Axu in the chat ripping into Augustus for thinking about his maths. Obviously the better way just to jam it and see what happens. What do we got here? We got an early Cipher. I mean, much better in decks which have a lot of ice. I mean, CI has a few pieces of ice. I guess Wren's, I think we've seen has a few bigger bits and pieces, right? Have we seen Fairchilds and things in this deck, or am I thinking of someone else's?
I think Wren is probably playing, if I recall correctly, the kind of Fairchild 3 drafter, maybe a couple of gatekeepers, but fairly regular kind of mid-range HP ice suite.
Yeah, quite a fun kind of thing here. Especially, I mean, this is the kind of deck which absolutely runs over any deck which is like deciding to play ice, which has suddenly like is a fit. It's something which I've kind of been enjoying, like playing Blue Sun into people and then being surprised that they have to actually deal
Break
with
ice.
ice.
Yeah.
But the minute that someone puts down a cipher, you might as well just give up. You're in a terrible space. Finding a couple of early crowdfundings here, which are pretty much definitely coming down next turn.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm assuming that OF will be running definitely a couple of times. I don't think Wren is going to be able to slow down or at least ice up all the servers. So definitely something that OF is looking forward to, get all those crowdfunding rolling, getting money and draws in later down the line. We see a single upgrade install on R&D. Interesting.
Yeah, probably a CVS, we would assume.
That would be my guess, which would be amazing against this medium that all hit the board right now. Yeah,
business as
there it
usual.
is.
Another card which is actually pretty good against the medium. Just getting the counters. Ren would have loved a piece of ice as well as that CVS there, because not really doing a huge amount of work against it. Definitely scary when you're facing down a medium with a couple of counters and a completely undefended R&D, because this is a card which just starts going nuts at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of Cipher and probably Crew to get through one piece of ice forever on R&D, and then just medium rushing through R&D and finding more and more accesses is going to be a very tough thing to get through for Ren, who's also like installing naked Vitruvius right now. So kind of a situation where I know they think they need to find a play, and whoa, OF just finding 4 points off the top.
I mean, like I said, medium is a scary thing, and we're seeing the ice suite on this one is the often like has been quite powerful, sort of Excalibur, Mother Goddess, but that has absolutely no effect against the kind of way that the OF15 has of dealing with ice here.
Yeah, it can get you can catch some of the anarchs off guard with the beam breakers, but when you're relying on Cipher and all these threshing ice destruction effects, it's not gonna be as impactful. They just end up being very expensive piece of ice that don't provide as much utility as they should in some situations. We see Ren playing double biotic. So it looks like we're gearing up for a score.
Yeah, but not much money. Like, I wonder if Ren's gone double biotic here and then has kind of looked at their credit pool and gone, oh my gosh, we've got double biotic into ultraviolet.
Okay. That also gets that's not a Jeeve, so it doesn't. I mean, it gets a click because you got through 3 operations, but Jeeves would have given you the click off of the ultraviolet already.
I mean, still getting a ton of value here. Like, R&D is completely fresh now, though. Not that it wasn't quite fresh already, but we're potentially going to see basically the rest of it next turn.
Yeah, Ren setting up a what looks like probably a pretty good combo, but ends up just conceding.
Wow. I mean, a kind of understandable here because off 15, unless Ren had a way of winning or doing something really strong this next turn, off 15 wins next turn, I think. I don't see how you stop that happening.
Unfortunately, the recording ends before Ren gets to answer the question, so we'll never know what Ren was looking for. I'm expecting it was either probably maybe a punitive that would have killed OF there, or some kind of at least punishment for stealing agendas, so that Wren could slow down OF's advance and then maybe find the time to combo off. But right now, OF on 30 points, tied. Actually, not tied, but one win away once again to challenge Augustus and Ren and Toron at the top of the standings. We'll see if Ren can play spoilers here and then use their Valencia against this Thule that OF brought. Thule is kind of asset spammy HP, similar to what we saw from Silent Arbiter in game 1.
I mean, a pretty nice like if I was going to play one ID into Thule, then Valencia seems pretty good. Having that bad pub to be able to potentially pay for Thule tax, obviously dealing with assets and things along those lines. Maybe not quite as powerful as Whizzard, but in some ways, like kind of reminiscent of it. We're also seeing Wren on Stimhack here, a card which is probably pretty scary to play into a Thule matchup. But
it looks like a pretty good opener on a matchup that looks quite. I mean, don't want to say looks favored, but in which Valencia has a lot of play, definitely.
Yeah, not much draw here is the one issue. Like, obviously, you don't have the draw of Max or anything along those lines. So we're probably going to see Wren clicking draw a little bit. Now, Anarch has got a bunch of incredibly powerful draw events, and just a kind of good number with things like inject, moshing, all of that kind of nonsense. The price, in a way. Cybernetics
scored.
Oh, super early rebirth as well.
Yeah. Putting under a Spirocytes and then hovering over this hacktivist meeting and actually clicking the rebirth.
Are you getting freedom here to... Oh, you're getting Essa.
We're getting
Interesting.
Essa versus Thule. That makes somewhat sense. If you're expecting to take a couple of core damage here and there, you get a little bit of draw and a little bit of sabotage. That's an interesting one. And I know Wren lost the Stimac from the damage on their Spirocytes, but the deck has a couple of core damage cards, so there is some value to be gained from this Essa.
Okay, that's definitely not what I was kind of wondering if maybe we were going to see a sort of freedom just to go and trash the zero cost asset for free. Now we could immediately playing this hacktivist meeting probably feels pretty good here. Means that we're not on rumor mill, but can be still a very powerful card. And off 15 immediately popping that Estelle Moons so that they have enough cards in hand to be able to sort of discard if anything needs to be rezzed here.
Yeah, Hacktivist, quite the card against these asset heavy builds, and finding the Lakshmi right away is quite a find. Although the Friends Night places in HQ kind of tells us that that and probably the Estelle Moon will be coming back soon.
Yeah, and we just saw a tour guide as well, which Wren doesn't have any way through quite yet. Warm Reception going to start sort of churning out those agendas now. One bad pub is nearly good enough just to deal with this Warm Reception, but it is a click and a run and an extra credit. And like I say, Wren currently needs draw. Needs to find some way of generating this draw.
Yeah, luckily for them, as soon as they lose that one paperclip in hand, they get a free draw from Spirocytes. So there is some draw to be gained from playing the game, but yeah, not having found any of the drawing. Actually, I don't think having drawn any single card yet puts them in a tough position.
Yeah, I wonder if it would have been better to just challenge server 4 here with only 3 credits. Like the worst option would be, that tour guide gets Resd. Oh, that's unfortunately not losing the paperclip there would have been actually really pretty good for Ren. But
although you still get the draw and you still get some of the sabotage. So the Asa pick instantly paying off.
Yep. You've also got this very nice turn next turn where you can install the 0, hit the 0, and draw an extra card because of the Respiricides.
That's exactly what happens, yeah.
And probably slamming down a second Respiricides here, yeah. Seems good. Respiricides here, the draw engine of the deck at the current moment. And we're going to take another core damage.
Yeah.
Draw again off the Respiricides. I take it all back. Respiricides is a great card. And yeah, this Essa has kind of really worked out, especially as from what we saw last week, doesn't seem that off 15 is kind of doing anything with the core damage. We didn't see any of the 4-2, which becomes a 3-2 and then a 2-2. We didn't sort of see any sort of kill plan or anything like that. It seems like the Thule ability there is just there to sort of slow down the corp a little bit, which is kind of interesting. Maybe it was good enough as a this will be scary, because I'm pretty sure last week we kind of saw, or the first week that off 15 played this deck, there was a real I don't know what this is going to be, so we're going to kind of be really careful about it.
So that tour guide is quite expensive right now. It's only 2 assets, and Ren is going to get through that with by paying 3 or not.
Yeah, possibly. This is a little too late, really. So we'll see what happens here, because off 15 would have really had to res the Rashida kind of at the same time as resing the tour guide.
Yeah, a bit of a mishap on OF sides. I think the players will figure it out in a second. I think it's fine for the core player to kind of go back and res that. Obviously, you don't have a window to res. You can't res assets during an encounter. So and instead, I'm confused, but we'll figure it out. What the players ends up deciding, and it looks like OF decided not to res the Rashida and let Ren pass.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a vanilla, then maybe it doesn't matter. But I'm guessing if this was a vanilla, then we probably just don't see the res in the first place. Losing a Rashida pretty big there for OF. That's a lot of their money. I think I'd want to be going and getting rid of this warm reception, but we steal another agenda, and just gonna take the core damage because we're Essa. Seems good.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up working out for Ren quite well. I think OF decided that the money spent on paying for the tour guide is better than keeping the Rashida. That's what the play tells me, which is, I mean, it's a fair take. The runner currently doesn't have any economy outside of maybe being able to click the 0. So
and a bad pub each run is potentially good enough.
Right. Yeah. Valencia is still giving out useful boons from the grave.
Yeah. Also, this Hayley shard is kind of looking pretty scary here. There's 7 face down cards in archives, several of which have been lost to sabotage. So, at any point, we might have an incredibly anticlimactic sudden win for Essa here.
Yeah, Essa definitely worked out better than I expected. Whizzard would have been my pick, especially if you know you're playing against an asset spam list. This game might have been played before kind of the first few streams, so Wren might not have known what they were going against, and ended up picking something that honestly generated a lot more value than I thought. The 3 card and 6 sabotage are quite good.
Absolutely. Here off 15, just using this FCOM for the efficiency, like just kind of scrapping some value together, kind of really feels like they're in a little bit of a hole in terms of things here. And here we see the Hayley shard, but nothing in archives at that point. Probably just got recurred with friends in high places. If there was something there, very well might be in server 4.
Yeah, Wren waiting maybe a little bit too much, and that friends in high places probably putting a few things on the board that OF wanted to save.
Yeah, I mean, one of those classic like, when do I pop this type moments. Getting rid of this Estelle, not
kind of have to.
surprising. Very powerful card. Might want to. You can't quite threaten the other Estelle, because otherwise it might just be good enough to sort of like, Wren only needs to find one more agenda, and we know that we're not on things like Vacheron, so just any agenda is probably gonna win them the game.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Not being able to challenge the Estelle sucks, but Wren is kind of maximizing his access on R&D to find that last agenda. They are very close to getting that 7th and probably 8th point, and it's up to OF to kind of generate enough value. And we see a lot of install. I'm expecting a zoom out sooner or later as the board gets more and more wide. Yeah, there you go.
Mama Temple, we're getting a wage worker res to potentially already get more clicks for installing here. Oh no, accidental wage worker res. Unfortunate bit of additional benefit given. Right. Lakshmi first.
That makes sense.
To get an encounters, which probably means agenda install here, because otherwise the Lakshmi is potentially just getting trashed next turn.
There's a chance, although OF might just be installing a piece of ice in front of it to protect it, and even if it's not, even if it doesn't get protected, and even if that's not an agenda, that would take most of Wren's turn to deal with it. The bad pub helps, but you're starting from 0 credits, and you have to find at least 2 more and then run the server.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Amazing value, by the way, here with the additional click from Wage Worker to play that shipper from Aeromorph.
Wow.
Getting Estelle Moon all the way to 7 tokens. So probably refilling your hand completely and then getting you 16 credits now. Wow.
I'm pretty sure IRS started this turn with 0 credits, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure there was like a Rashida, but went from like 0 credits with a Rashida to popping up here. I mean, currently down at 0 credits still, but there's a lot of stuff that's on board which has been rezzed, is going to create value, and that Estelle just making things kind of nutty. Yeah, that's a hell of a turn.
Absolutely.
HQ probably pretty safe here due to the Lakshmi, so you probably want to go and get rid of that first. But let's see what happens.
We'll see if OF wants to call something with Lakshmi. Oh, yeah, Lakshmi currently is bugged, I think, on JNet, so it doesn't allow the corp to actually click it to do something. So the players will figure it out in a second. I think in the chat we've seen both Silent and OF find this new and unfortunate bug with Lakshmi and kind of have to deal with it through the chat.
Well, that's really awkward because there's kind of no option to not steal an agenda, right? If you touch one, so
Yeah, you have to go through a command and go for a either an undo click and then spend a click, or just close prompt, so that you don't you're not forced to access the card. But unfortunately, there's no good workaround in the game outside of using commands.
Wowza. And we do see Lakshmi used here for successful field tests. So we know that there's at least one successful field test in hand. Potentially off 15 here, rezzing some additional things just to call a second agenda.
Yeah, it looks like we're naming Luminal and GFI.
Just everything. We're just naming the lot. So nothing can be stolen. I remember. I don't know if there's a card which has frustrated me more when I used to play standards when Lakshmi was a thing. Just running and seeing agendas and not being able to steal them. The most frustrating thing in the world. Very good card.
Worm Reception here doing like powering up the Lakshmi even more. I think that's what brought these decks, the version OF is playing and the version that Silent is playing, into existence, is being able to, if left unchecked, kind of res and de-res a lot of these cheap pieces. So you get to instantly go back to 2 or 3 counters on each of these Lakshmis, and then protect a lot of agendas. And I think we're seeing a biotic into what looks like a score pattern from OF.
Yeah, I'd assume so if a biotic's being played. Is this being advanced off screen, possibly?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm gonna in server 14, and we can see up to server 13.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
So here, like, I wonder what you probably do. You want a successful field test here, or you might actually just score the Luminal, right?
Luminal would be would give you a lot of clicks to use, and in fact OF ends up deciding to go for the Luminal. Both of them, both the Luminal and successful field test, probably end up on OF, kind of installing a lot more cards, using the extra clicks for that.
I think you probably want to score the Luminal because it's the harder one to secure. Like, you can only ever secure it in hand, whereas the others you can technically secure on the board. So there's some additional thing here. Now with double Lakshmi going, both with multiple counters on, R15's got himself into a position where it really looked like this might be going Wren's way about just 2 turns ago, but this has really turned around from that ridiculous turn of sort of Rashida into installing about 9 cards. This has really turned into a game where, oh my goodness me, we're even just triple advancing a card out in the open, saying, I've got Lakshmi, you can't come and get this, to get an additional wage workers click off that. Is that what happened, or am I mistaken?
That might be a 2 or maybe a 3. I can't exactly tell, but yeah, I think OF just calling out that here's an agenda, I can protect it with Lakshmi. I'm not scared about what could happen.
Yeah.
And that single clan vengeance might be enough for Wren to actually deal with it. If Wren clicks the clan vengeance and gets whatever agenda is advanced on the board off of OF's hand, that might be the end of it.
There's actually a more important thing here, that Wren has just drawn a Light the Fire, which is super powerful in this exact moment. Now, unfortunately, I believe that there is a Malia on board which has been de-resed. Now, I might have mistaken that, because there's a whole load of cards in this deck which have characters on them in a very similar pose. But if this Light the Fire comes down, this is a way that Wren can now at least stop the very obviously an agenda being scored next turn, and also is going to get an ESSA trigger off doing so.
Yeah, which would be even funnier. I think we've seen through the chat that OF called both SFT and GFI through the through Lakshmi. So both of them are off the table in terms of scoring, but this is not stopping Wren from firing off that light the fire and removing the advanced card from the board and putting it in archives, where it might be able to be stolen next turn.
Hilariously, we're nearly down to a low enough hand side that the reciprocites would just trigger at the end of each turn as you discard down, which I've never seen happen before. But that, unfortunately, they're both going to with their next trigger. I think they're both going to disappear as once they've got free counters on. I think they go, but
Yeah.
that would be a pretty funny interaction where you kind of discard down to nothing and draw off your Respiricides each turn.
OF, thinking on what the best move here is. He's sitting on 4 credits, I think, but also has 6 more coming from Moon as soon as he wants to. We know.
Gotta be slightly careful not to mill yourself out here. Obviously, we know that there's agendas in hand which can be scored, but equally you need not just the agenda in hand, but you need another copy of the agenda in hand to make it safe with Lakshmi, unless you've got a way of fast advancing it out, which this deck does have, but fast advancing out a GFI. I don't know if we've seen a Jeeves on board yet, so unsure if there's that line right at this moment.
It is quite a tough situation, especially when you consider that every agenda that gets removed from the game, even if it gets put into archives for now, means that OF has to play much more careful about being able to score them. OF really needs to find a pair of agendas, one of which he can keep in hand, and the second one he can install on the board. And the light the fire, I think, from Wren slowed down this kind of scoring plan from OF quite significantly.
Yeah, I was somewhat wondering whether OF had snuck a second agenda onto the board, but probably doesn't really help because OF really wants to just win in free scores, which means that GFI needs to be the third and final score. And that's a little trickier now, bearing in mind that Wren has one of the GFIs in their score area, and the other one we are pretty sure is currently in the bin, so kind of needs to come back from there.
Yeah, that would put OF in a situation where he needs to score 2 more agendas, or either risk a GFI sitting on the board or finding one. I think there might be a line where you kind of put down a GFI behind that massive
Tour guide.
Yeah, and just call the fact that the runner cannot get in the server. But as soon as you put the last GFI on the board, you lose the option to protect the one in archives. So
that's true. Yeah, of course. So I don't. So unless you have recursion there, and really like Wren is, threatening putting down his medium. Now IF doesn't know that there's a medium in hand, but if you just sort of spin doctor or Jackson the GFI back into R&D, that might not be good enough.
The chat is so small. I wish we could read it better. The 2 players are commenting on a few kind of triggers and things that happen in the game.
Okay, I think this is the classic. A load of stuff is going to happen, and it's the warm reception window of all the triggers that happen before your turn begins type thing. Okay, so we do see a spin doctor. So the GFI from the bin can come back into R&D, but that's not kind of where OF wants it right now.
Yeah, OF would love for both GFIs to be in HQ. So that would open a window for him to install one, kind of advance it.
Or potentially just have one in archives and be able to friends in high places it back. But then you need to be able to completely never advance it the next turn. So you need a wage worker plus one other tool, either a biotic or a Jeeves or something else along those lines.
And we see Spin Doctor shuffling back a Biotic and an Unseen card. So Biotic would be one of the ways that OF gets to fast advance the 5-3, or at least not fast advance, but at least score it from the board without having to advance it beforehand.
Yeah, and then we do see friends in high places. So yeah, looking like that's going to be the GFI installed on the board behind that tour guide, which does seem like a scary prospect to get through right now. Bearing in mind, Wren doesn't have, or we haven't seen anything like Parasite or something along those lines to deal with it.
Although that medium coming down right at the right moment here, as Wren challenges R&D probably on their last turn. One credit from Bad Pup, so we don't have the chance to trash a lot of the cards we see, but every new run means a new access.
Yeah. Also, now that there's only the one, is that the win? I think that's the win. That is the game. Wow, that's all Ren needed. Just touch an agenda. I mean, it's kind of too late, but like, no, and we don't. In fact, we know that off-15 didn't have an FCOM in hand. One's in his score area, one's in Ren's score area. So there was absolutely nothing that Ren could do at that point. And Ren takes it. Ren playing ultimate spoiler for off-15 here. Like, not necessarily off-15, not necessarily going to win, because I don't understand how tiebreakers work. But definitely would have been in with a shot if I'm not mistaken. So kind of nabbing the last gasp from off 15 in this game.
Yeah, closing out the game, probably the turn before losing as well. With that as agenda in Cypher 4, there's a really good chance that OF would have been able to score out the following turn. Although 7 credits is not enough right now, I'm sure there's a way for this Thule deck to find the last few credits in the same turn as the 5 advancement. Well, and that does it. I think, Andre, if you want to show the standings for the end of the league, we see Torn still sitting at the top with 33 points and 77 as their score, as their tiebreaker score, beating Augustus by 5 points. OF sitting in third place, unfortunately, having a bit of a lackluster second half of the season, finishing with amazing tiebreaker score, which would have been slightly higher and probably could have challenged Torrens had he won the last game, but unfortunately that could not. That didn't happen. Yeah, and Silent Arbiter on fourth place with 30 points as well. Bit of a lower rather tiebreaker score, missing out on the podium by I think 12 points if my math is correct.
So, Silent might be my my player of the league though, for the innovativeness in their decks, and the amount of change that we saw each time, just coming in each time with something just on a completely wild tangent, and like some incredibly unexpected bits and pieces, which and has done really well because of it. So big shout out to Silent Arbiter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a huge thank you to all the players, honestly, for agreeing to play this and then spending their time to play all these Eternal games, deck building, with me and Anarcho chasing them to kind of having everyone upload their games each week. Everything went on smoothly. I think everything worked out pretty well. So huge thank you to all the players who helped us make this league and show it to all the viewers right now.
With that, I think Anarcho is very possibly going to jump back on, maybe, possibly. That's what they've told me. And if that's the case, then I will leave it to the two masterminds behind this league to close everything out. Assuming that they are.
Yeah,
and if not, then
I mean, they should be jumping in any second.
Yeah,
there they are.
there we go.
So,
Lovely stuff.
Thank you, Bob, for being with us once again and helping commentating. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Anarcho, do we have an interview with our league winner?
We do. I'm going to ping him now and tell him to get into voice, and we will give a few quick questions to Toron for winning the league. 1 second. I'm pinging our inaugural champion right now. But yeah, just to echo as well what oh wait,
There it is.
Toron is here. Hello, Toron.
Hey.
Hi, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, massive congratulations.
It was so much fun to get to play in this. And it's been a real treat to play against all of these extremely brilliant players with fresh and exciting decks every week.
Absolutely. I think as well, the decks that you brought, I think you were the only person to bring the same IDs into each phase. You played World Tree Woo every phase, and you played CI. You played Rewiring CI in the first two, and then you came out with this very innovative big deal cerebral imaging deck that kind of took everyone by surprise and kind of really showed that it was actually a really, really strong and powerful deck. So I guess tell us a little bit about the decks that you brought, why you decided to stick with them, and I suppose your World Tree Woo innovations as well, and why the number keeps getting bigger, and at what point does it stop, or will it?
Yeah, so my primary runner deck, World Tree Cabanessa Woo, is what I've been working on for a really long time, and it's a absolutely busted deck. With the ability to always get World Tree on turn 1, no matter the size of the deck, enables just absurd shenanigans. The deck size just keeps growing because there's really not all that much cost to adding more cards to the deck. Because as the deck gets bigger, the odds of drawing any one specific card just shrink and shrink. So the cost of adding more cards goes down. And all the while, we can always search for more and more cards. It's such a hard deck to play. I've been a proponent of the deck, saying that it's to some extent unbeatable if you're able to play it at a perfect level, which I can't, nor anybody else can. But if you were somehow able to envision every possibility, you could win every game. And it's been such a joy to do so. On the other side of the table, I've been playing Cerebral Imaging, a deck that has the ability to hold essentially unlimited cards in hand. And when combined with the newly printed Your Digital Life, it allows for playing cards that were never meant to be balanced. Because our credit pool has very little limit when we can gain 1 credit per card in hand. And so we get to play ice that costs 14 credits. We get to play punishment cards, which were meant to be uneconomical, but when credits stop mattering, we just get to do anything. And the moving from off of rewiring CI, a kill deck in week 1, that you are able to collect enough tech against to eventually stop, to a deck which is essentially untechable. Like between Hayley and beta test and Malia and some of the other options alongside really big ice, there's very little you can do other than storm R&D early and hope you find the agendas, which is made doubly difficult by playing very few agendas and neutral influence limited agendas, which force you to steal more and access more cards. Hypothetically, this deck takes more accesses to find 7 points than, as far as I can tell, any deck that has ever been played. And that just makes it extremely, extremely difficult to find a win against it before they're able to either lock all centrals down with massive ice or find the win with Big Deal.
It looks like the next logical step is to play 4 agendas into Wayland and find an even smaller agenda density. But otherwise, that's an amazing, some genius behind building that deck and then refining it from phase 2 to phase 3 to even lower the number of agenda points that the runner can find through GFI instead of veteran. So for the people watching, the winner of the league gets to design a alt art. Thoran, do you have anything in mind, any card that pops into your mind for what you want your alt art to be? Is it something that you played in the league? Is it have you thought about it first of all?
As much as I would love to pick an alt art that is going to be playable in the upcoming standard, I am just way too fond of World Tree to pick anything else.
That makes sense.
That's entirely, that's so fair.
Honestly, I was hoping that the winner would pick something that doesn't get played in standard, just as a novelty, as an option. So, and World Tree makes absolute sense as something that you brought in the league and you played a lot with.
The standard ban list team can always change their mind. We can bring World Tree back.
Yes.
We can bring 200 card decks back to standard where they belong.
I'm not sure if that was on SBT's future planning for elevation meta, but if you want to start the campaign, I'm all for it, and I will stand by you. Well, thank you, Thoran, for playing and for jumping onto the interview.
Thank you. It has been such a joy to play, and the amount of effort that both you and wowarlok put into organizing things has been such a treat. I'm really happy to have played, and I feel really lucky.
Awesome. Do you have any shout out before leaving, by the way? If you wanna...
I did just throw up the final version of my World Tree Woo and my Cerebral Imaging onto Netrunner DB. Sadly, those aren't legal anymore, but it's not too hard to get them to a legal state, even if they're not quite as strong. And thanks again for having me on.
Anytime. Thank you for coming on, and congratulations again.
So, folks, as we wrap up, as you know, we want to make a alt art. Thoran will be designing it as the winner of the league. Obviously, that has a bit of a economic cost. I want to say we'll try and find an artist in the community to work with. If you want to help us and pitch in a little bit, we made a Ko-fi. We made one at the start of the league before before anything started, and I think it was in the article when we published the ESL, when we announced the ESL on the Null Signal blog. I think we'll, Anarch, if you could throw the link in chat, and we'll definitely put it in the description for the people watching the stream later. It would be greatly appreciated if you could help us and support the league by pitching in and make it and helping us make this alt art that we'll be distributing to our winner and all the rest of the players with a couple of foils altars for the podium, the players who managed to reach the podium in the league.
Yeah. There's no compulsion, obviously, to give any money whatsoever. If you enjoyed watching the league and you watched it, that is enough. That is support enough. But if you feel like throwing a few euros our way to help to help support the production of the alt for Toron and for the rest of the players, then yeah, it would be obviously massively appreciated. But of course, if you watched even a second of the league, that is so much support, and I have so much thanks and appreciation for you. I think, is that everything?
I think that does it. Yeah. So for just to wrap up, people, thank you for watching these 9 weeks of streams. It has been an amazing pleasure to put this on air. I know Anarcho feels the same. So this was not phase 1, but rather a season 1, and Anarcho and I chatted a little bit, and we think we'll be able to bring a season 2 sometimes in the future. So stay tuned, and if enough people play Eternal, look forward to it, then we'll do it.
Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna take a break, I think, for a little while. This is a lot of work to kind of run and put together week by week. So yeah, but we tentatively, yeah, you can expect a season 2, and we'll be opening up some invites as well and doing some fun things for that. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll be making sure it's announced everywhere. But yeah, massive thank you to wowarlok for agreeing to help me run this when I pitched the idea to him. Thank you to Randy Bueller for coming up with the vintage Super League and Magic, where I shamelessly stole the idea from. Thank you to all of our players for playing for the last 2 months, and for recording their games and for getting them uploaded on time. It was great. They're just a great bunch of players to run the league for. Thank you to our stream team, who are unbelievably hardworking. All the commentary, all of the stream managers, Aksu, Andre tonight, Koga jumped in as well. I think Ba did the first one, maybe, or one of them as well. If you're on a stream team, you have no idea the amount of work that goes into running a stream every week for 4 hours at times. This would not have been possible without the stream team putting in a huge amount of work. So I have so much time for our team. Thank you so much again. And thank you for watching. And if you were inspired to play Eternal from watching this, then that is wonderful, because that was our goal when we started this, was to get more eyes on Eternal. And I think that was absolutely a success. So yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the last 9 weeks of Eternal. Yeah, that's all from me, I suppose.
Bye, folks.
Good night, everybody.